These lads went from being students in the university to getting 25 million, right? They were paying me $1,000 a day as an in-house writer to create stuff for them. And then they used to get up and go, we don't want to work today, John, go and do what you want. And I'd be going, what? Yeah, go do what, just have a day off. And I'd turn up the next day, I'm not coming in today.
And they'd still pay you?
Yeah, and then they were just going through, they had without being honourable, they had, 20, what do you call them, escorts? I don't want to say hookers. It's like
hookers, yeah.
Yeah, they had 20 of them living in the house.
Fuck it. No.
And they were just working their way to this 25 million. And anyway, they did it. and I got 3 months' work out.
Just before this episode starts, if you enjoy the Leggett podcast, we produce 4 exclusive bonus episodes per month for our private members club on patreon.com. For the price of £1 a week, that's just £4 a month, the price of a beer or a fancy coffee. We produce these bonus episodes that have special guests on, various topics, and there's also merchandise offers and various bonuses you can have, competitions, all kinds. Get over there, support us, support the podcast by giving just £1 a week. Link is below.
This episode of the podcast is kindly sponsored by Feel Supreme. Feel Supreme have been sponsoring the podcast for a number of weeks now. They're an incredible company. They've got the most diverse range of supplements. I've got some here, the CBD, which I've been taking, which is brilliant. The mushroom extract as well, which I've been taking once a day. They've got vitamin D3, vitamin C, a huge range of different health supplements, and you can get 10% off if you go to the code below, go to the link below, which is feelsupreme.co.uk/Leggett, and you get 10% off by clicking through and going through their website through that link below. Please support them. They've been a huge support of the podcast. They've got the most incredible products that I take daily, myself and Andy take daily as well. So anything you can do to support them ultimately supports us. Everything CBD, vitamin D3, vitamin C, which is obviously vitamin D3 massive at the moment, and vitamin C obviously really important for immune support. So go to the link below, click through, and you'll get 10% off your order. It's the Leggett Podcast with myself, Tom Wickstead.
It's me, Andy Grant, and this week's guest is John Neild.
Good afternoon. Evening, sorry.
Mate, I'm dead excited for this, I don't even know what's going to get spoken
I'm
about. I'm
extremely honoured. I've seen all these really interesting people like that on you wheeled me in. Only say it's a quiet news week, innit, this week? Quiet news, yeah. We'll go through the diary.
We're feeding
we turned down in the past.
Feeding you a bit.
I used to have, on that, you saw them out of slow news week, I used to have the Echo or the Bootle Times would ring me when there was fuck all going on, saying, what have you done this week, Andy?
How's the leg, Andy?
Just roll out the duty amputee, see what the fuck's going on. Honestly, the Echo would ring me, and then go, have you anything going on? I'd be like, no, nothing.
It is, yeah.
Nothing. Mate, do you remember how we got to know each other?
Yes, I do, yeah. Yeah, originally, well, I hope I tell the same story as you. And you're not going to wheel out some sort of really dodgy midnight story. No, it's my youngest boy, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did and do you know, it's quite, well, it's not quite interesting, it's very interesting, because me and him, he's my youngest lad, Jamie, he's 23 now. 24, God, I don't even know my own son's age, but everyone says he's a lot like me and all that stuff. And that's a bad thing at the time when he was a kid. I think he was 13 or something, wasn't he, when you spoke with 13?
Must have been, yeah, senior school anyway, yeah.
Spoke at Cardoline, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he came home, and all I ever got from when he came home was, I was always like, mumble, you know what I mean? So how was your day today? And I had the best day today. I said, why? He went, he said, I know what I'm going to do with my life now. And I mean, it didn't turn out that he did what he wanted to do. But he just came home with different, when you have a teen, we've all done it, like, teenagers mumbling, don't you? You ask for a conversation, you get nothing back unless, I always say to my kids, when you had mobiles, when you were kids, I could never get through if I wanted to speak to them. But if they needed money, they always got through first time. Bang, hello, Dad. How are you, Dad? How are you doing? I'm saying, yeah, Dad, funny that. I was trying to ring you for a week. But anyway, he came home from school, this totally new person, inspired, and said, this fella spoke to me today. He's had his leg blown off, and then he's turned his life, and he's doing this and doing that. He goes, I know now, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. And I said, do you know, and that's how we met. And I remember I sent you a message. I'm not sure I sent you one. I think I might have got off to school. Did I get your number?
Yeah, I think you tweeted me or something, I don't know. But and I just thought, obviously I got to know you a bit better, but I just thought, what a nice fella to to actually take the time to listen to his, you know, son, daughter, or whatever, and then reach out and say, and they just want to thank him, and you've had a really positive impact. And I thought, fucking hell, that takes a lot, that, mate, yeah.
It's
Yeah, but
lovely.
I know
That.
you do a job for money, but, you know, there's a lot of things to be said. When you do your job and you get that sort of job satisfaction, I'm not trying to big it up here, but it's not work then, is it?
Oh, no.
You know what I mean?
No.
You're doing something because you need the money, obviously.
Oh, that message from you, felt well better than the check that I got from doing it. No, it did, don't you know what I mean?
And it didn't say 3 working days.
Got it straight away. Instant gratification, yeah.
That must be better. You know, I know obviously there's a big difference in terms of like what you get paid for corporate versus schools, but that must be such a, you know, for kids as well. Like for your son to come back and then...
And a little bit like what John says there, not that my little girl, she's only 6, but I'm sure when she's teenager, she'll be exactly the same. But I just think when I'm sometimes speaking to teenagers, I think, oh God, are they thinking, who's this fucking lad here? So the fact that he's gone home and he spoke about me and then
it was really interesting. I found it really interesting at the time because, you know, I suppose we don't realise the pressure that, obviously these are the sort of... what I call the social media generation, and everything's out there now. If we done something wrong, I know you're a bit young, Tom, but and you're a lot younger than me. Do you know, like when we did something wrong, right? It had to go around all my mates, right, in Sparrowhall. It would have taken about a fortnight for the rumour to get back to me ma. You know what I mean? Now, the rumour's at me ma before I finished doing what I was doing wrong. You know what I mean? She's going, what are you doing? I'm going, well, I'm still doing it. I'm still in the middle of doing it. And you were bollocking me, like when we were kids. If you went with a girl or you done whatever you did something wrong. I was doing stuff in New York in the 90s. People wouldn't know for like 9 months by the time, you know what I mean, airmail got back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would hate it. Like, I think anyone who's growing up not having it would say the same as well. They'd hate it.
And all joking aside, I don't think it's good for the mind.
No.
I know that's obviously relative to what you do for a living. I don't think it's good for you mentally.
No, I don't either.
You know what
No.
I mean? Every single thing. And I'm not just saying like the body image stuff and all that. That's a different kettle of fish. I know it's the same for lads and girls now and all that. I don't mean that. I mean the actual... Everything's got to be perfect, hasn't it? It's got to be perfect. You're not allowed to fail.
Yeah.
Really.
I say it all the time, like the comparison theory it's called or whatever, where when you were in school, and I've said this before on this podcast.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a good point this, yeah.
When you were in school, you compared yourself with probably your 5 best mates, didn't you?
Yeah.
You compared yourself with like your mate John or Steve, who's good at football, and then
where they went on holiday, like if they went to Spain, you go, shit, we're only going to Cornwall.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? That was a bit different.
That's it.
But
that
now,
was the level of the expectation.
But now you compare yourself with like 6 billion other people, you know, through social media, through people who are at the Maldives, who are 21 years old and somehow managing to afford a £20,000 a night hotel room, or you know, whatever.
You wouldn't even know about those people, would you? Well, I didn't when I was a kid. I knew about the lads in Bootle, that was it, and I compared myself to them, and that was it.
That was the classic thing, and you know, and it's, although we did have our pressures, it wasn't this perfect utopia where everyone, we left our back door open. We never. Well, I lived with 9 bolts on her. You used to say to me, man, by the time your man had locked the back door, she'd be getting up again. Should have got 9 keys. I'm just doing the last one, lad.
That does make me laugh, that, because you do hear like older people say that, like, and now we used to just, everyone in the street had just come into each other's houses. I think, was it fucking really that? It wasn't like that.
Yeah, but you know, it is interesting that you say did you. Anyway, so that was the start. As I say, that was the start. I think both my lads and my stepdaughter's generation, I think that's what they've grew up with.
Yeah.
And they don't know any difference. You know what I mean? Where we do. You can't compare it.
Funny you should say that. I was looking back at some photo when I was at uni. I finished uni. I went to uni in 2010. And
Baby.
yeah, I know, yeah. And you can kind of see, because 2010 smartphones were like just coming onto the scene. Yeah. 2008 or 7, I think it was 2007, the iPhone had just been released. And then so it took a bit of time for it to go through. And you can see that when you go to a festival, obviously not now you go to a festival, but you go to a nightclub or a festival now and everyone's got the phone, you see all the lights shining, don't you? And you can kind of see, feel like it was 2010 where people started at festivals to taking phones out, and now you see DJs or whoever saying, like, for God's sake, just put the fucking phone down.
Just be in the moment.
And enjoy the festival, enjoy the DJ or whoever it is.
Well, they're doing this, aren't they, trying to enlarge the image, you know? Like, you know, about Chris Martin's about 2 feet away. Hang on, Chris. Just hold it there, so get me a focus.
Yeah.
I want to put this on Insta.
It is.
But
fucking
I mean,
mad.
but it's helped. Like it helps so much. It's like two flips of the coin. It helps your business. It helps millions of businesses through. It's the way our business has to do it through LinkedIn is massive at the moment.
Well, there's massive positivity about the social media side. No, it's not all. It's like everything. It's not all bad. You know what I mean? But I don't know whether regulation is the right word. It needs regulation.
Yeah, something needs to happen, definitely.
Something needs, because, I mean, I think as this goes out, we've had the whole Gordon Elliott thing breaking today, and the world's gone nuts. I mean,
Saying that, yeah.
You come back to bite you. I'm not saying the pros or cons of it, but all I know is that if that's a friend of his, and it must be a friend who's put it out.
I actually don't know. I don't know about.
Yeah, sorry, Gordon Elliott.
Yeah. He's probably the top trainer in
Ireland, isn't he?
Yeah,
well, probably in
the top. Well, he's the biggest name. He's one of the most powerful stables in racing. And anyway, there's a story broken today where it turns out he's got what's got to be said, like a very it has to be said, like a sickening picture of him sat on a dead horse on the gallops. And he's come out and admitted it's genuine, but it was a few years ago, and
someone's done it on Snapchat.
Yeah.
And I've saved it.
It's obviously someone in a circle of friends. And I'm not saying it's the right thing to do, but it looks like they're having a laugh at the time. Now, that's come back to bite him in a massive, massive way. Do you know what I mean?
Like Betfair have just used to do a column or something for it, and he's been fucked off by them. And
he's been sacked by Betfair. He's probably going to lose his licence. And, there's social media gone mad. Now he's been, look, I say he's got a sponsorship with Betfair. I don't know what it's worth, but it ain't 10 quid. You know what I mean? It's worth a lot of dough.
Yeah.
The biggest, I think they are the biggest gambling brand in the world, aren't they? So, these things that you do, in haste, and I say, that's amongst his friends. And now that's out there. Now, I'm not saying it's right what he did. It's obviously blatantly wrong what he did, but that's a friend who's taken that photo and has put that on their Snapchat or whatever it is. There's a bad example of social media.
I think, like, there'll be any fella, I'm 32, 33 this year, I think any fella even from older than me, even like my age, cause I wouldn't want to go back to a time when phones ring. And you look at celebrities, that's the first thing that they all say. The likes of like when like Jamie Carragher, I bet you he's made up there was no cameras when he was coming through when he was a kid.
Well, there's been a lot of that today. It's like, have a look back in your own life, and it's the times like I'll say it again. They would just use the analogy. When we used to go out on a Sunday, we used to go down County Road. We go to 4 or 5 pubs. Right, we used to meet in the Crown there on the East Langs. We used to meet there at 7 o'clock. If you weren't there, we went. We didn't, and you just have to follow to the usual route of pubs. And if we'd moved on, There wouldn't be, we didn't have a chalkboard, like Twitter left at 7:49. Lol, you know what I mean? But like now, again, it's just everything's instant. I think Instagram's the best name I've ever heard. Yeah, it's instant. And the other thing about it is, it's also, I suppose, in the positive, an awful lot of it can be forgotten very quickly.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, yeah.
The next shitstorm comes along.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. It's a big thing, isn't it, for you at the time, whatever the news is breaking, and then next week something else will come out, and then it's fucking... Yeah. That's it. But on the positive note, that's how we met. Yeah. And then we were also lucky enough, mate, been out here a few times, type of thing. Probably the most memorable was we were just working out a year ago. We were in Vegas together. So I got to know your other son, Jordan, who's a sports writer. Great lad, such a lovely lad, by the way. You've done a great job with him, really nice lad. So we met up in Vegas a few times. I was with my dad, Jordan, and John were there.
When your dad retired? Yeah.
So we met up a couple of nights and had a few beers and stuff, and I just knew then, speaking to you, mate, you're one of those fellas I could, whether it's on a podcast or not, I could sit and just drink with you all day and just tell you stories, listen to your stories, and just, you're one of those fellas, and I just love that scouse kind of dad. Can tell a boss story, likes a beer, and I just love that. So even after, when I got to spend a bit of time here in Vegas, I was like, fucking God, I have to get him on the pod one day.
we didn't know we were going to go into lockdown literally as we landed, did we? We came home.
Literally.
I had a bad cough, by the way, when I came back. I did. I was like a pariah. I didn't go out for about 10 days. I was paranoid. Thought I've brought this back. So, one man COVID. But it was literally before the lockdown. But, that's a really nice thing to say about me lad and all that. But I saw you went on a retirement trip with your dad, didn't you? You sort of decided, I think you went to, did you go?
We done Madrid, where fucking COVID was as well, and then Vegas. Yeah. I'll probably give it to you.
I know. And we,
super spreader.
What did we do? Yeah. Well, our George was working the fight, wasn't he? He was writing.
That's cool.
Yeah, I thought I'd get a ringside seat, but I never did. And I was like 99 rows back, like, you know what I mean?
Was that for the Fury fight?
Yeah,
Fury Wilder, yeah.
Fury, great occasion, you know what I mean? But it was a great experience. But we had a good time. It's really nice. I mean, I am from that old school Liverpool thing. Like, my dad was the best storyteller ever, do you know what I mean? And I think it's a Liverpool thing, and I think it usually comes from everyone ending up in the kitchen and talking shit. If you can't tell a story, it comes round to you, and you don't just stand there with it. You know? Yeah.
Fucking love a good storyteller.
You've got to do something, haven't you?
Someone who can tell a good story, like it's so encapsulating. You're just hanging off every word and stuff. And
what's he do in sports writers? Or is it purely on boxing then? Yeah,
it's mostly boxing. He does UFC and stuff as well.
Oh, does he? Yeah.
His main job, he writes for the World Boxing News, and he also does a lot for like an awful lot of the big bookmakers, you know, in Star Sports, etc. But yeah, it's mostly boxing and UFC. But he did it all himself. He's been working in logistics and stuff the last few years, and then he did, you know, like you said, university. He did all that online. Got his.
It's a bit of a passion project, one that's turned into like a second career.
Yeah, and now, he's almost full time on the boxing now, which is great. And even through this, he's managed to keep working. So
brilliant.
Bloody hell. There's one place I'd love to go, Vegas. Everyone always talks about it. I just love to go.
I've been three
Well, I was dead
times,
lucky a few times. I went when I was dead young, and I went this time as well. And it never fails to disappoint. You know? No, it's brilliant. Look, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be going there, you know what I mean, with my wife and kids and having a great time, and let's all sit down and do, you know, on a little like sort of 2 and 2 family holiday. But it's great for 4 or 5 nights and go and get.
Yeah.
Absolutely off your trolley. Gamble on things you'd never gamble on. He's the worst.
Oh,
really?
He kept winning.
It's brilliant. It's such a fucking great time.
How much did you win?
I come back on that about 4 or 5 grand up.
It's decent, that, isn't it?
Yeah. Considering I'd been to Madrid for 3 nights and in Vegas for a week.
Bloody hell.
I come back up. My dad come back up as well. It got to the point we were winning that. We were winning that much on the last day. We nearly cancelled our flight because my dad wants to go to New York. And we nearly can't. But I had work on it, and I was like, I can't. Fucking hell, Dad. I've got a little girl at home here, and he's like, come on, I'm fucking retired. It's like, nah.
It was a great trip. And as I said, we didn't know what was around the corner. I'd give anything to go on.
No. So that's how kind of mine and your connection come. So doing a little bit of research, and I told Tom about you, and now Tom's done his little bit of research on yourself. Just want to know more about your life, because you grew up Norris Green. And you found yourself leaving home at 17, didn't you? 16 and
almost 17, yeah.
So what was that like growing up then?
It was great, you know, but all my family's music, you know what I mean? Everyone's music, and I just didn't want to do it. And my mum died, and I was dead clever. I'm not trying to just say it. I was academically really good. I went to SFX in Bolton, when you're past 11 plus and you get your first choice, and I didn't want to go. And my man and the head teacher's going, "No, you've got to go." So it's like an hour and a half on a bus every day for 5 years, whatever it was.
The only person ever from Norris Green to go there, wasn't it?
I think there was another that came after me. We used to sit together in the canteen.
We were the scallywags over there.
You know what I mean? But it was great. And listen, I don't know, it was a brilliant. But my ma was, I was adopted, which is another long story. My 2 brothers, I'll just cut this because we could go on forever. But I was adopted. My mum and dad who adopted me, they couldn't have children, I mean, they had a load of miscarriages and stuff. Anyway, so they adopted me, and then they had me 2 brothers, which was mad. Because my mum had been born with half a womb missing and all this stuff. But
what, she had your 2 brothers like natural? Like...
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Only 11 months. They adopted me, and like about 7 months late, she was already pregnant with my brother, but she didn't know.
Oh, that's mad.
And then
he must have been meant to get you, mate.
That was it. Well, I'd like to think I'm the gift that keeps on fucking giving. she very lucky. Nah. So I had this, and I've got to say, we come from, people say rough country estate and all that. It was, but we didn't think it was that rough. Do you know what I mean? Because you're in the middle, you don't think it's that bad. Our house was dead normal house. It was all dead tidy. We always had food. And then my dad was in the band, all that. It was sound. I had a great, amazing. I couldn't knock me. But then my mum died at 15, and just everything stopped. Everything. My head. I think it was. In fact, it was the February before my GCSEs. Oh, the O levels they were then. That's how long ago. Yeah. So
that affected a lot of things. That's what I always say. That's
massive. I went from being this not carefree. I was always funny, and I was always in school. I was always in the plays and all that. But it's really hard looking back. And I'm shit at talking, which is really ironic for coming to a podcast. I'm really shit at talking about these things. I'm not very good at it. I've only started, I think...
As in your emotions and stuff?
Yeah, I'm trying, because I think my ideas were based on, like, I'll go away. I'll go somewhere else. I'll do this, and I'll get out of Liverpool, and I'll do that. And that's what I did. I went and worked for the Coldplay for 6 months after I left school. I left school, like, as early as I could. Funny enough, I did pass most of them. I think I got 9, something like that. 8, 9. I passed most of the ones which I didn't expect, because I didn't do a thing.
Well, so since your mum passed it, you were like, right, that's it, I need to get away now type
and I
thing.
was an A student. I was like, I wasn't top of my class, but, you know, I used to do me way. I was good, you know. In a good school, I was good. And just, I couldn't be asked. Nothing. And all the teachers, give them the due. I had one great teacher, the Geordie, was Mr. Finn. Oh, always funny, like, I went in and climbed one day, and he was like, I sagged off school. I'd never done that. Never did dream.
Just couldn't be asked anymore.
Couldn't be. I didn't want to go in. I sat on the 61 going fucking Egbert and back to Buell. Do you know where he used to finish C4?
Yeah.
Just going back out there and back all day. It's like 2 hours each way. Anyway, I got caught because I'm shit. The one day. So I goes back in. And my geography teacher, who was then the head of year, Mr. Finn, this massive Geordie fellow, 6'3", 6'4", whatever. So I went and started crying and all that. I said it's me mum, like, I'm scrambled. And he just went, and I'll never forget it. He went, well, Neil, I'm shit at a Geordie accent. You know, it's shit happens. And I went, oh, it's bad. He went, I tell you what, he said, why don't I get a few of the teachers in? I said, what for? He goes, I know you can do impressions of all the teachers. Why don't you do them for us? And I'll get a few of the staff in and we'll have a laugh. And I went, yeah, go on in. So he got 4 members of staff in and made me do all the other teachers who they didn't like because I was doing impressions of them all. Just do the glasses now, hello, and all that. And all was like, I know that was his way of like helping me to get back to normal, do you know what I mean? But little things, so all that was great. But then, I'd say, I went to work for the Coldplay and then went to America. I wasn't even 17. Well, just turned 17. Told me daddy had a job. I didn't have a job. I was under 80 quid and I flew one way with Air India.
Hang on. How the fuck did you just go, I'm going to fucking America at
because
17?
I had this dream then. I thought, I'll go to New York. You know, I'll go to New York.
When was this? So you 17, so 19...
I'll tell you what it was. It was 1987.
I'm going to say it takes, we've just said about the world of social media, it takes balls to do it now. Fucking hell, doing it then, when there was not like...
Oh, this is a Brahmano.
Do you know what I mean?
I landed in New York, right? So all of a sudden, like, you clear customs and all that, right?
I was going to say, yeah, surely you've got a visa or no visa.
Fuck
or you
all.
just fuck all.
You've got a tourist visa. In those days, I think they called it a V1 or something. Anyway, you just go, you had to go to the fucking embassy in London, you know what I mean, and get it. Or fill a form. But I went down to London on the train. And so I land in New York, it's fucking roasting, it's July, so yeah, it's July. So gets off the plane, only come through the doors, like Home Alone, like. So the doors open, I step outside and I go, where the fuck do I go now? I've landed at JFK, do you know what I mean? I don't even know where that is in relation.
Yeah.
So I went up to some guy and look, I know I'm a bit chubby now, but like, my youngest lad who Andy knows who you talked about school, he's a jockey, you know. He's a professional jockey and he is like 9 stone and like this, he's like a lat, as my dad used to say. Well, I was like that. I was 9 stone ringing wet, you know what I mean? I'm 5 foot, 5.5. Yeah, my mummy tipped over. And this copper, they have these transport coppers, and he just looked at me and said, what the fuck, what are you doing? And I went, what? I said, where are you going? I went to New York. He goes, well, you know, that's over there. It's like, yeah, so how are you going to get there? He went, right, so anyway, directs me to the subway. In those days, you had to buy a token. So I had $1, there you go, token, get on the subway. Gets off, so I thought, fuck it, I'll go to Times Square. I thought Times Square was like fucking Disneyland. Turns out Times Square is like the shithole.
In 1980 it was, yeah.
1987.
Yeah.
It's the worst place you can go. Basically, just it's thieves, drug addicts, hookers, fucking pimps. The worst place. And then I found the worst place to stay in Times Square because it was the cheapest, was the YMCA, right? So I checked in the YMCA. I'll never forget it, right? It was $7, like for the night, in a room of 6, and anyone can be in with you. So I'm lying in bed. I've got all my clothes on. I am shit myself. I'm absolutely I can feel it now. No, when you get that feeling in the back of your neck when things get to you. I get this hot feeling. I'm getting it now. Thinking, I'm going to fucking die. I'm going to die. So I heard all these fighting and I'm going, oh, mum in heaven save me, do you know what I mean? Fucking, I'm dead. So I'm there that. Anyway, I must eventually nod off. All you can hear is taxis honking. So next thing I wake up and like, there's like all this kerfuffle in me doing. There's this bloke on the way out, like, he must be 6'5", like, he's on his way out the door with my case, and there's this fella who only looks obviously older than me, and he's hanging round his neck, this arm, saying, he's going, give us your fucking case back, you bastard. So I'm sitting, I'm curled up on the bed. Anyway, this Irish lad saved me, and he got me case and all that. He said, right, we're locking the door, so we barricaded the door. He was just a drifter, you know what I mean, going around the States in his 30s or whatever.
Yeah.
Was going around America doing seasonal work, but he was savvy. And he said the same. He said, you're going to die, you need to get out of here. And it's the next morning, took me for breakfast.
You're going to die, you need to get out of here.
I know. I went to Denny's. Have you ever heard of Denny's? No, you've been to Denny's anyway. I think it was Denny's or Wendy's, one of them. And he takes me there. And next thing, he's outside in the payphone with quarters. He goes, come with me. So I'm just standing there right next to him. Got my fucking case and everything. And he goes, right, he said, I'm getting you out. Anyway, he rang his mate in upstate New York, who we knew. And he said, I've got this lad here, I've got to get him out, he's going to die. And this other Irish lad goes, okay, send him up here. So he gave me the money, got me on a bus to West Coldplay, which is upstate New York, and I started a job up there working in summer camps. And genuinely, I've never met that lad again, I don't even know his name or whatever, but I do think I would have, I reckon, I would have at least got like a decent stabbing in me. You know, I couldn't have survived.
Were you not like street savvy type thing, or?
Well, yeah, but
not in New York, I guess.
From rough not a skiing getting dropped into New York where there's guns and fucking cocaine and heroin and although we did have our fair, to be fair, that was one thing we did have in dogs. We had plenty of heroin at the time. We didn't have the guns and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I suppose.
But it just, and to be fair, I met a fella there around the summer camps. He changed my life, and then I just did loads of things. I ended up staying. I came home a couple of times in between. I'm staying there for 3 years then.
Really, yeah.
I came home, yeah. I came back.
And what were you doing in the summer camps, like sports and stuff, or?
Just anything I do. And then in the winter, I'd do all the maintenance on them and I'm shite at maintenance now. But this fella, he was like, almost like, do you remember Grizzly Adams? You won't remember Grizzly Adams. Well, it was an old program in the 70s and 80s. This fella who lived in the mountains with a big beard. This guy was like that. But he owned this summer camp. And in the winter, people would go and hike to there in the snow. It's right. I tell you where it was, right up the road. This is a mad story. It's right up the road from Catskill, right, which is where Mike Tyson used to train.
Oh,
and I used to go to this little cafe in Catskill with the fella I work for. And one day we sat there having our little, I think it was lunch or whatever, it might have been our breakfast. And anyway, this kid goes running past. And anyway, the woman and the fella who ran the cafe go, oh, he's going to be heavyweight champion in the world. And I went, he's fucking tiny. And he's fucking about, I don't know, 3 inches bigger than me. And it was Mike Tyson.
Jesus.
He was living with a trainer. You'd probably be, if you look him up, like the guy who adopted Mike Tyson.
Gus.
Yeah.
Gus,
what's his name? Yeah, I never say his name, yeah.
He adopted him and he ended up living with him. And that's when they say Tyson, it's a really funny story. They reckon Tyson, after Custamato died,
that's when he went off the rails, yeah.
He never changed it. When Cuss was there, he said he would have gone on to be everything he was, except he would have Cuss. But like, I think, to be fair, Cuss was in his 80s
when he met, yeah.
He was. Anyway, but he adopted, well, I'm not sure whether he officially adopted, but he did treat Tyson like his son. And that was him. Another mad story. So it's all Mike Tyson running. I'm going, fucking no chance, he's an idiot. Yeah. So he's stocky in that, like, he can't be world heavyweight champion.
There's a great story on it at the minute on Netflix with Tyson and Frank Bruno and how their rivalry
can't. Told me about it. I haven't
it's good,
seen
you know.
It.
Yeah, it's got all that in about Tyson. But yeah, mate, because we spoke about it, Tom's got to do a little bit of travelling. We've had a few guests on who've done travelling. Looking back now, as much as you were shitting yourself at times, you know, is it something travelling at a young age and getting out there and leaving Liverpool and experiencing the world? Is it something that you're keen on? Like,
It changed me. I come back a different person. And I'm not saying like this romantic, you know what I mean, a journey and I found myself like that. I don't mean like that. I came back and that's when I got into the music, funny enough. But I was just different. I was me and I sort of... It's weird, Liverpool is amazing and it makes you this brilliant person, like, but we can be a little bit insular. And we do believe Liverpool is the centre of the fucking universe. And, you know, and I'm a passionate Scouser, I love it, but we do have this... Totally. I wouldn't even say it's not elitist, it's just like, we're Scousers, we're sound, you know what I mean? And it was like that when I grew up, it always has been, we've always had, because everyone's fun, or can sing a song, or can tell a joke, or we have a bit of banter. And I just think I just needed. I'm not saying it's right for everybody. It might not be, but for me, it was the right thing to do. I needed to be me. I needed to find out. Yeah, I can. And I tell you what, funny enough, all anyone used to do was ask me to say American phrases in a Scouse accent. That's the only way I got birds when I was out there. Just to say no American things. Yeah. But like a Scouse, and they loved it, you know. Oh, he's in the Beatles. Whatever you want, love, I'll say it.
It's so interesting though today that you're saying that it was even like that back then, because I find it now when we've had people, haven't we, on and said Liverpool, it can be overpowering sometimes. It can have this feeling like, yeah, it's keeping up with the Joneses. It's you've got to be this, you've got to be that. Everyone's funny, everyone's this, and you realise that as much as great as Liverpool is, it's fucking, like you say, it's not the centre of the universe. It's
pretty. Look, there's a reason I've gravitated. Funny enough, I've been doing this. I've gone back to singing again. Like we'll get to that later anyway. But I used to write songs about Liverpool all the time, and that's because it's like the old joke. I know everyone slags Harry Enfield off, but you know the Scousers. Hey, can't that. He come up with a great sketch once. He said, "You must promise to take an oath to constantly talk about how fucking brilliant Liverpool is without ever actually going back." And I love it, you know what I mean? Because that's what we do. Whenever we're away, oh, it's fucking brilliant. Everyone's like, well, go home then. Yeah. It was so great. But, you know, it is a great, it's a fantastic city. And I tell you what it does give you, and I think this is unique to Liverpool, but I think it's the Irish thing, and I think it's a mixture of a lot of things. It's definitely the Celtic influence on us and that sort of Irish background. But we have this inherent thing that it's going to be all right.
My nan used to, I grew up on that, it'll be alright. It'll all work out, it'll be alright.
I know that other phrase, it's a Liverpool one. I think it's no, everything will be alright in the end, and if it's not alright, it's not the end.
So like that.
You know what I mean?
How weird's that, mate? I grew up on that.
But it's a Liverpool mantra, that to me. I know you never walk alone, but I don't mean that. I've always been a passionate, I'm a passionate Merseysider. I'm not Liverpool or Everton. I love me footy, but I fucking love Liverpool more. Do you know what I mean? I love to sit there. We've got a unique way of looking at life, as I say that, and that's what I would say it is. You know, it's going to be all right in the end, and I love that, and I think that's what made me go away, because even though I was scared, I thought I'll be all right. I'm from Liverpool, I'm from Norris Green. What could possibly be rougher?
Everything will be all right.
You know what I mean?
Mate, it's so weird. Like say everything I've been through in my life, I think. My nan used to instill that into me, maybe because I spent a lot of time there after my mum passed growing up, but my nan used to always say it.
We had that talk about that to me.
My nan used to, I grew up on that, it'd be alright in the end.
I remember I was having I think I was on Jack Daniels in
Heart to Heart.
I think we were both crying.
I think we were, yeah.
What the kids had an RG order going, fucking hell, this was like this.
Just seems to be our Mars passing at an early age, I think, and all that.
What casino was it in?
Do you know what?
After the fight, one inch the bar, I think.
Yeah, it was in the MGM one. Wasn't in? Did we stay in the MGM? I can't remember. We were down at some ill. Oh, RG was so ill that night. He doesn't really drink, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Oh, he was dying. But anyway, so then I came back, and then that's when I got into music, which weird, but I did come back without I was different. I was more confident, you know what I mean? I know it's hard.
Yeah, it's always the thing.
We are confident in Liverpool, but as we again, it's often the Liverpool thing. We blag a lot, and we bluff our way through. You know what I mean? And confidence is often like a massive sign of insecurity, innit?
You're the loudest person in the room and all that, yeah.
It's always the one it's like the comedian thing, innit? You know, like the tears behind the clown and all that.
Yeah.
You know, it's fucking true.
Yeah.
You know...
There's been loads of kids, like, look, Robin Williams, he was probably the most recent one, was he? Like, that thing of just someone so confident, so funny, so loud, so out there, you're thinking they can't possibly have anything wrong with them.
I swear, there's only two famous people, right, I've ever cried over dying, right? He's one of them, Robin Williams, because I was just so fucking sad that he was sad. That really got to me, that someone so brilliantly funny was inside really sad. I cried when he died, and I cried when Rick Mail died.
Your bio things about him, innit, on Twitter?
Fucking everything he stands for, that's what I believe in, do you know what I mean? And I took that into music, and that's why I fucked up a lot in the music, because I was too principled, but I like people who are principled, you know what I mean? I'd change it now if I went back, because I rapidly learned when I was older that principles cost you a fucking fortune.
Oh Jesus!
Well, we had you talk about that, but we had a guy called Rob Pope on who had an amazing story without going into it. He ran across America. He'd done the Forrest Gump run a few times. Anyway, he said that when he was over there, the elections were going on, Trump and that, so we got into a bit of a political chat and stuff, and he basically said, you know, the Trump supports that you see on the news, that doesn't represent Trump. You know, there's a lot of fucking people in America who benefited from Trump, as in they had jobs, they had careers and stuff like that.
Massively.
And he said, I'll probably get it wrong, Tom, you'll have to let me out. He said something about morals. He went, morals don't pay the bills or something like that. And it's like, yeah, he might be a racist, he might be sexist, he might be a bit of a dick.
But he's in Vegas, we were shocked.
Yeah.
We were making jokes, which were probably inappropriate, about Donald Trump. We were all shocked at how popular he is, how popular he was. Yeah. I mean, he, you know, and these are intelligent people you're talking to. We thought it was safe here. We'll make a joke about, no, don't just talk about him, he's our president. And we were like...
Yeah, it's mad, isn't it?
It is mad.
It was insane how he got this perception.
He made the point about you saying about principles and morals, and he just said, you know, if this president can guarantee, you know, my family and I don't lose my house, I don't lose my job, then...
Another beers anymore, man.
No, yeah. And he goes, he's like, yeah, you got morals, but morals aren't paying the mortgage. And
yeah, exactly.
It's like you're saying about principles, isn't it? It's like...
But don't you think it's funny that with Donald Trump, that the fact that... especially in this country, unless in America, it's either you watch Fox News, which is obviously Democrat, or Republican, or you watch CNN, which is Democrat. Yeah. In this country, I feel, and when you were saying I was making jokes about Donald Trump, whereas in this country, there isn't that, like, especially because it's a different country in itself, the USA. In this country, if you watch BBC News, Sky News, I'd say pretty much all of them are all leaning a little bit more towards anti-Trump than obviously pro-Trump. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So, whereas when you go... So, as a nation, the UK is more... We're more like, oh, Trump's a tit, or... Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's.
I think Donald Trump over here has got a very, very good press because he's treated like the lovable role. Oh, God, look at what he said now. You know, well, you should be abhorred by it. You should be, you know...
I think it is.
He said, listen, it sums it up for America for me, right? And this is... we've been talking about this whole sort of... you know, these issues have been going on at the minute, right? About sort of Black Lives Matter, and then we had the discrimination thing and all that. The most discriminated area of people, if you would like, on this planet is women. Full stop. Right? Even to the point that America would rather elect a stark, raving fucking lunatic than let a woman in. You know, and say what you want about Thatcher, and she's reviled here in Liverpool. You have to look back and say that for her to get in 1979 as a woman in this country is absolutely fucking staggering.
Yeah, it is really.
How did she pull it off? You know, as I said to you now, 50 odd years later, or 45 years later, 42 years later, I'm sorry, America would still rather elect a lunatic than a woman.
Yeah, it's mad when you think about it like that.
Isn't it funny now how Trump was like, the media loved Trump because he provided so much like ways
clickbait and stuff.
Clickbait. I have not heard a single thing about Biden.
No one cares.
Nothing.
No
one cares.
I think I heard something that he decided to drop some bombs on Syria or try and... That was all.
Even that was swept under the carpet, though, wasn't it? It wasn't like headline news, was it?
Well, it's like this thing, I don't know whether you've read it, but like, there's all this thing now. Do you know we were going to get a trade deal straight away? Obviously, in my line of work, which I'm in renewable fuels, that's interesting to me to see. We do get a trade deal in business now, by the way. It was snuck under the radar yesterday that we haven't got a deal and they're not interested in doing one yet.
With the USA?
Yeah.
Right, I didn't know that.
It's on like the 4th page of the BBC website, you know, because all anyone's asked about is COVID, and you know what I mean? All anyone's asked about right now, when are the pubs open? That's we couldn't give a shit about a trade deal, the fact that we're going to go down the pan. When are the ale houses open and the fucking Wetherspoons?
Everyone knows. 21st of June is imprinted in everyone's head.
Countdowns and everything. It's like fucking transfer day, is it? What's it called?
Deadline day.
Yeah. 1st of March, well, funny you should say it. I was having this conversation with a friend today. 1st of March today. 12th of April is when pub beer gardens can open, which is 42 days today.
So who's counting? Everyone is. Well, you know, that's my... I don't want to get too political on here, but that's what... And I'll just say my last thing on the American thing is I actually believe that Kamala Harris, who's the vice president, I think she'll be president within 18 months.
Well, on that, though, mate, obviously you're not wrong in what you're saying. We had Laura Woods on last week and talking about some of the shit that she gets just for being a woman in sport. It's like...
I saw the girl after is it the Six Nations the other day? The girl's been slaughtered for an interview with Owen Farrell.
Yeah, that was it, yeah.
Look, I think a lot of these women, I'm not saying it should be inclusive and better, whatever, but a lot of them are getting thrown under the bus as well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then that it's perceive like they're there just because they're trying to level the numbers up, you know what I mean? And just because she asked a few questions that if a bloke asked, no one would be asked. You know what I mean? But
No, yeah, I agree.
she's perceived as having a go at Owen Farrell. Well, he didn't know an answer to the question, so he said he wasn't. It's all right. He's a big lad. Very intelligent lad. He handled himself great. I didn't think she did anything wrong. I didn't think he did, but she's been slaughtered. But then again, it's the fucking social media, innit?
Yeah.
Getting banged.
There was there was a news article that literally, when you say things were being swept under the carpet, how the media just the COVID is their little thing that they keep pumping out every single minute of the day. There was a news article of 300 schoolgirls from Nigeria that got abducted. And that, I thought that's got to be up there on...
Not
even mentioned.
We've always been postcode. We've got postcode emotions in this country.
Yeah.
If it's not happening on our doorstep, we're not asked. I mean, we are, I swear to God, it's true. And listen, I include Liverpool in that, I include the north of England in that. If it's not happening on our doorstep, we don't think it's relevant.
And the way you imagine, I don't know how... maybe there's 500-600 people in a normal school, maybe a bit more, I don't know how much, but you imagine if 300 schoolgirls got taken from, even in a school in America or a school in Europe, got abducted, and they're probably in the middle somewhere, there's fucking all sorts of disgusting things happening, rape and all that shit, and just not even mentioned. Incredible.
Not even.
Yeah.
It's not even on the bottom, it's not even a tick, it's not like, and finally 300 girls are missing in that. It's not even mentioned. You're right, but that's us.
Yeah,
that's us. And America, the same. And we're supposed to be the two leading.
Because I put on, it was funny how the Daily Mail, or I think it was the Daily Mail, ran with the biggest. The ran with an article that said about Lady Gaga and her dogs.
Oh yeah,
thing.
Fucking hell, I've seen that. £500,000 for a dog's.
Yeah,
return.
a dog. French bulldogs are.
That was it. Yeah, and it was the way I'd taken a photo and put it on Facebook, or whatever, and it was the way that schoolgirl thing just wasn't even...
What's really funny about that story, Lady Gaga, her dog walker's been shot.
Yeah, I see it.
No one's asked.
It's all about the dogs.
Poor bastards in, you know what I mean, having an operation to remove
a fucking bullet.
Got a bullet from his brain or something. And all they're asked about is, and we've got one of the dogs back. Don't worry. Whatever his name is, Ping Pong's back. You know what I mean? Fucking poor lads like that. Life support.
Fucking mad. Crazy. I know we got on to Trump then from the box.
Yeah, well, it was really America with me and saying about
Trump is running. He's considering. He did a speech, didn't he, that he's going to run for.
I would not look.
I wouldn't put it past him.
I would not put it past anything because again, it's all a backlash, isn't it?
Yeah.
All the stuff. Well, we've seen it in this country with Johnson. I really don't want to talk to him, but it's exactly the same thing.
Sorry, I know we're talking. Yeah.
But a buffoon and all that. You know what I mean? Oh God, isn't he? Oh, look what he said today. I don't think it's funny actually.
Yeah.
I don't think it's funny that he hasn't got a clue what's going on. And I don't just blame him, by the way. I'll include Keir Starmer, Jesus Christ, he put a fucking anaesthetic to sleep, do you know what I mean? He's like, he hasn't got.
No.
You know, you're sitting there thinking, no wonder Johnson's getting away with it when we've got that on the other side trying to fight your corner. Anyway, yeah. So I'll go back. I came back from America at 20 and got into music.
But you said earlier that music was always in the family then?
Yeah, my dad, my brothers, my uncles, my cousins, everyone was in bands. And I just sort of went away from it because of that. And they were in country music mostly, funny enough, but they were really, really successful. You know, my cousin was probably the lead singer in the most successful British country band, a band called the Hillsiders. They did Nashville and all that. And my dad was in a great band. My uncle R. George, unfortunately, my dad's dead now. My dad died 18 months ago. So yeah, and my two younger brothers, they were in bands, but they started really early. They were doing theatres when they were 13, 14, do you know what I mean, supporting people. So I came back in the States then, I was nearly 20. I wasn't quite 20 actually, I went just before 17, 20. And I came back and thought, right, I want to get in bands. I won't lie, the real reason was they were getting birds left, right, and
all the groupies.
And they were younger than me, and I thought, I'm not having this. So I thought, I can either go to the gym, go up, go on the sunbeds and all that down here. Down there, fucking Tanner in Crocky. Or get in a band. And I chose the easier option. That was it.
What did we sing in?
I was singing mostly, yeah. My brothers are really talented musicians as well. My middle brother Dad, and he's a guitarist and singer. My youngest brother can play most instruments. He's a drummer. He's played with all sorts of people as well. But yeah, I went through the way. I was more like rocky stuff, and then So I've gone to bands around Liverpool, loads of girls. I thought, this is this. I've cracked it.
I've nailed it.
This is where I want to be. I am now. I've been to America. I've survived death. I'm over here. Do you know what I mean? Girls ask you out. This is, instead of like being a fucking stalker hanging around the house, you know what I mean? Waiting for them to come out in the morning to go to school. Girls are coming up to you and you go, Jesus. That was it, music. But luckily for me, I was half decent at it, and then I ended up. So you probably won't know that. I ended up in a band. Then I joined a band in London, and I had Geordie quite young. He was 22 when I had him. When his mum had him.
It's young, that, isn't it? 22. If you
yeah. It was very, very young, but you know, it turned out all right, and he's all right. So that's it. But I wouldn't recommend it. It's not an easy. I mean, looking back, I think it's all a bit. You know, you sort of rose tinted up, don't you? But it was.
How did that work then? You know, you're in London in this band, and then suddenly now you've got.
Yeah, I was away a lot, and I regret it now. I regret it a lot, to be honest. But you know, you on your career, we were doing well, and then we were touring. And I was in a band with 2 Brazilians and a lad from London, and we were called Sound, and then got signed to a German label, like a derivative of EMI over there. And then we toured and done all that, and then it was great. You know, look, it was. I think I like, because I've been to America, because I've travelled. I've always liked that lifestyle, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, what was it like touring? As in, like, literally just Europe, or was it worldwide?
No, we went everywhere, really. And then I'll get on to years after that. Not that long after that, actually. It's when I started the music company, where things went massive and then really small very quickly. So, it was great. I loved every. I cannot say we were the first band to play in Slovenia after the war. You know,
really, yeah.
Wow.
We did things like that, and that was amazing to see.
What was it? Do you think I can find some photos online if I have a look now?
I don't know. I don't see.
Well, the smartphones weren't about, were they?
No,
there's no Instagram.
He's like big sigh of relief.
No, when you have one in the band who keeps everything. You always have one person who keeps everything. Well, I don't know, you know, bands, it's like any group of mates. One goes, I've got that.
Yeah.
I've got nothing. I've only
nothing.
Nothing. I've got the odd. I think I might have one, but he's got everything. So I'll email him. I'll ask him to send some.
You still mates with them now?
Yeah. Talk to him all the time. I was talking to him the other day.
Yeah.
What was the name? Roberto Firmino. Shit.
Does he? Yeah, it's been the season.
What was the name of the band, John? Yeah.
That band was called Sound.
Just Sound.
Yeah.
Do you think there'll be stuff on that?
I don't think. I think there's very little. I think if you put Sound, put 10 Stone Ugly, you might be able to buy the album.
Put Sound 10
Stone Ugly.
10
Stone Ugly.
Yeah, that was me.
Numerical 10, or as in TEN?
No, it's TN. Sorry,
yeah.
There's honestly, I haven't looked. I'm not a Googler, but there you go. There's the album anyway.
Released in 1998. Yeah.
Oh, it was 98. Yeah, I was a bit after that. That was the best one we done. That still sold out. Oh, there, yeah. That's a good label.
That's a really good album cover, yeah.
Oh, fucking 3 out of 5.
Do you know what? I'd love to get that printed out and put in here, you know.
See if you can play it, Tom. Play Sound.
I've got copies of that, though.
Mate, we should have a jingle for the
Sebastian
podcast.
in 2006.
Yeah, what did he say? 3 stars? I'll track you down.
See if you can play it, Tom. There, yeah.
You can't have it.
No, I'll let it.
Will it not play it? No.
Yeah, Amazon. It's on Amazon, though.
Oh, fuck it.
I'm going to download it tonight.
I've never had any fucking money off it. But then it was during that. That's when we toured, but we did some great people, do you know what I mean? And did all the big gigs in London. I was working as a session musician as well in London. So I was doing loads of stuff with loads of people.
All going really well?
It all going really well. And then I started writing. I got like this name as a writer. And anyway, this is a long. I'm going to cut this down because I was talking about it the other day.
Love it when you start.
Don't be cutting out any good.
I'll tell you what, lad. I'll tell you the funniest thing when I was in that band Sound, on the last tour we did, which before I left the band to do this music business, we were in Germany, and we were massive in this place called Saarbrücken, right, which is in the south of Germany. That was our big, you know what I mean? Here we go, you're big in Japan, we were big in Saarbrücken, you know what I mean? We used to sell out. There's only 400 people, but we sold it out. So we used to go, anyway, so we're going there this night, and it's snowing and all. I think, God, anyway, next thing, there's fucking police cars, and like 10, 12 police cars. So I think the scout says, what's all going on the side? Pull on. So I get to come out the side of the door, like, what's fucking going on here? You know what I mean? Guns, fucking, the lot. get down. All the lads are going, you better get down. Fucking hell, you get down. Gets down on the floor, spread them, kicking us in the plums and that, giving us the whack. Anyway, it turns out that there'd been an armed robbery with an identical van in the top. So the first white transit van he'd seen that we'd hired in London because it had foreign plates on.
Yeah,
it could have been from anyway. Anyway, yeah, so that was interesting. We got banged up for that. Didn't get charged, obviously.
You banged up for it, yeah?
Well, you know, they took us away and that.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you have
The
to get
night
our
in the
manager.
cells or whatever, yeah.
You know, you get your one phone call in Germany, it's like one. Like literally. So we're ringing the manager who's German going, fucking we're getting locked up. And he, right away, being a scout, he goes, what have you done? I said, I wouldn't rob a bank in Germany. What do you think I am? I said, I wouldn't rob a bank in Liverpool. I'm not going to do it over here. So anyway, but there was loads of those stories over there. It was really, I must admit, it was hard and all that. Everyone who says, like, music's a horrible game, do you know what I mean? As in some of the people around it. But like when you're in a band with a few lads and doing all, it was great fun. Like, we had brilliant time.
I can imagine if you're, you know, young lads going away, it must be brilliant, that.
It was great.
Absolutely
and like,
brilliant.
Like on that level, you don't have to deal with the politics then because you're on the road, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're in the studio, when you're dealing with record companies, again, I don't like to sort of generalize, 90% of people in music are fucking horrible, do you know what I mean?
Really?
They're not nice people.
That big of a percentage.
Well, they say, there's a saying, you know what I mean? If they're rubbing you on the back, it's because they're trying to work out where to put the knife in, do you know what I mean?
I like that. I had a guy, I used to do another podcast, I had Taylor Swift's manager on the podcast, Rick, forgotten his name. It's not great. And he left. Obviously Taylor Swift got massive. He was there when Taylor Swift was huge, and he was touring, I think 180 days or something or maybe a bit more actually. Maybe about 200 days. Constantly on the road, and his marriage broke up. Everything just went to shit. Yeah.
Well, I split up.
Like drugs were involved heavily, and
I've been lucky with that. I mean, I drank. Like, I was never a big drinker when I was younger, but I was quite lucky with the drugs thing. But I think because, like a lad I'd been in a band with in Liverpool, you know, he killed himself over drugs. Lost another lad I was in a band with of an overdose. I had cousins when I was growing up who were on heroin. You know, it was massive in the 80s in Liverpool, heroin. You know, so I'd seen all that, and I think it had scared the shit out of me. And I think I thought because of my personality, like if I try it, I could quite easily get sucked into this. So I was quite lucky. I avoided all that. Do you know what I mean? Drugs. I mean, don't get me wrong. I used to do the ale and like the section and used to do sex and the rock and roll. We just skipped the drugs. Just went and had a kebab. You know.
I imagine there's this, like, it's, you know, you hear about all the stuff that went on with Oasis and you know all these bands, and you feel like there's an element, if you are in a band, of living up to that drug taking. That
I was in London at the time Oasis broke, right? So we were all around the same. We used to go to the same parties, whatever. And I got Noel. I don't think anyone realises it. He was a lot older. You know what I mean? He was even older than us. Like I was sort of 25, 20. He was 30 odd. He'd been around for a while, you know what I mean? He'd been roadie for a load of Liverpool bands like Rain and the Real People and all that. Who were knocking out. He used to knock around with them as a roadie. And he was savvy, you know, he knew the game. So we used to go to parties, and it's quite funny now looking back, because obviously it's Liam and Noel and everyone just sees him and that. He was just this dead normal lad, and I used to have the odd pint with him, he was sound. And then there'd be a big commotion on the other side of the party, and it'd be Liam by the fighting or whatever. And he just saying that. Now, bear in mind, this is before they've really gone massive.
Blown up, yeah.
Right? They're just sort of making a thing in the melly to make it and all that. And I used to go, fucking, what's going on with you? He goes, oh, don't worry, it'll be our kid. He's a fucking nightmare. I was like,
really?
I'd be like, aren't you going to go and help him? He goes, nah. Said I really can't be bothered. So that's what, and like, it's only looking back, you go, that's what they turned into for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
18, 19 years of their career. Now they don't speak it, but I saw that. So they were like, see, when everyone says this is an act about them, it's not.
I've always been like that.
That's how I feel. Look, we never mates, whatever, but we were in the same circle. Used to have the odd beer with and bump into, and I remember that. You know what I mean? And so that's how they were even before they were Oasis. Did you man? He was just my brothers. That's it.
It's crazy.
That is mad to think that, yeah. And then he went on to fucking do what he done, and yet you were like, yeah, they fucking been like that
Well,
for
everyone's
fucking
got
20
the
years.
money. Do you reckon that they're doing all this just to get the money up for when they eventually get back together? But
Do you reckon they'll get back together?
Defo, yeah.
Yeah.
Defo.
Yeah, I can imagine when funds start to run dry, people.
Especially because of what's happened now.
Yeah.
And Glastonbury.
You probably know the answer to this anyway, but isn't it a case of, for example, someone like out of Coldplay, when they make a song, whoever writes it, it's Thingy that normally writes it, isn't it? The main guy.
Steve.
Chris Martin, yeah. So he's got a thing in where the whole band gets equal things. Then in Oasis, it was just Noel, wasn't it? He used to
Noel
sing.
gets everything.
Yeah, so...
Yeah.
Really?
They get performance royalties for
I
all
think
the
that's
records
why that's what's caused a bit of the rift. And I mean, obviously, there's loads of things.
I mean, he wrote the odd one, didn't he? He wrote that Blackbird song, Blackbird. I'm saying that because it sounded like Blackbird by the Beatles. Anyway, he wrote a couple.
But Noel made a lot more money, though, didn't he?
Did he really? Yeah.
Noel's, it's got to be tenfold.
Yeah, because he had the rights to all the songs and stuff.
It's really fun. Chris Martin's. I was in New York when Chris Martin first broke. Another one. It sounds. Who's a favourite over there, Tom? If I just dropped another name there. I'm fucking they're all over the fucking floor here. I'm dropping them like pennies. But anyway, this is true. I've got a better one about New York actually, which I'll have to get in because I haven't told this story for a long time. Anyway, Chris Martin one is. I'm there. I'm like this sort of. I'm this big massive. I'm going to be mad. This is again when I went back. This is the music company when I was a writer. Sorry, we've skipped forward now.
We'll come back. We'll come back to how you go. Yeah.
Anyway, so I'll go to New York. I'm doing this writing. I'm writing for all these people. The flavour of the month. I've got the same publicist as Sting and fucking Michael Jackson and all that. And I'm flying really. I am going. I've got a private merchant bank of opened account for me. Like there's 20 grand in there. I didn't even ask for it. Whatever. So doing this. Anyway, so I'm doing this songwriting gig. Anyway, this lad walks and I went, I sort of know him. I'm sure that's the lad. Now this is Coldplay. This must be 98. I'm not sure. When did Yellow come out? I'll have a look at that.
2001, I think. Yellow.
Was it?
Yeah, I'm pretty.
Okay, well I've been in a while.
I think so.
Yeah, it could be actually. It's after. Yeah, so it'll be it's
2000.
2000. So it's then. So I've been in New York since about 98 because I'm writing there and doing all this. I'm all this. I'm working on all these commercials. I'm doing all this stuff. I'm doing movies. Fucking. No, anyway, so I'm there. I go, I'm sure that's Chris Martin because obviously Yellow had gone massive over here.
Yeah.
And he just started to get played on college radio in America. So I'm doing this songwriting thing. I'm doing my sound check. He's just watching in this other bar around the corner. They're doing the Roseland Ballroom, which is a big gig. You know what I mean? Probably holds 2,500 or something for your first tour of America. That's big. I'm doing this place that holds about 400. I mean, in a songwriting showcase, but it's all like industry bods, you know. So he's standing, watches it, and he comes up. He goes, "Oh, he's only a kid." I'm not being patronising. How old was I then? 2000. I'm 29. He could have been 19, but he looked young. You know what I mean? He looked very young. He goes, "Oh yeah, we're on the Roseland." I said, "Are you in Yellow? Are you in Yellow? Are you in Coldplay?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm the singer." Like I went, "Yeah." I said, "Fucking good song now." And he goes, "Oh yeah, it's not." He goes, "Do you want to come tonight?" I said, "Yeah, I'll come." He said, "Oh," I said, "It's been a nightmare." I said, "What do you mean?" He says, "Everyone fucks off as soon as we play Yellow." The audience right. So he goes, "I'm going to try something different tonight." I said, "What are you going to do?" So he goes, "I'm not going to do it till the end." I went, "Fucking a bit risky over here, that, you know." He goes, "Why?" I says, "They fuck off anyway." Do you know? I said, "The Yanks don't want to pay to get a taxi, you know what I mean? They won't have a bevy and drive." He goes, "Oh, are you serious?" I went, "Honestly." So anyway, I'm there. There's this VIP area, so I'm stood off. I'm like Coldplay's only mate, do you know what I mean? Stood at this thing with their record company. They're going, "Hi, are you Chris's friend?" I'm going, "Yeah, we're mates. Yeah, only fucking spoke to him for about 10 minutes." So next thing they come on and they were really good. They're a bit sort of boring on stage. They're not like they are now. You know, he's this big entertainer now and he doing fucking shows, you know.
Yeah.
But they were a good band. They sounded great. Anyway, put 4 songs and he goes, "Okay." And this is the worst thing you could do to an artist, like, but he's a young lad. He goes, "Okay," he says, "We're going to sing Yellow now, but only if you don't leave after we finish playing." And the crowd went, "No, we won't leave." And it was all Yellow. Fucking gone. Everyone. And you can see him like he's like 21 and he's going, "Oh, for fuck's sake." So he's like, "We'll finish with this." You know what I mean? They had Shiver and all these good songs and all. They were good, you know what I mean? But I fell for them anyway.
What's the one with the swinging light again?
That's
and then
it's their big one, anthemic one in it now.
Yeah,
but he was a sound lad. Anyway, went out for a beer with them and all that. He goes, you fucking told me to do it." I said, "I tell you now, if you'd have done it at the end, there'd have been no one there." They won't wait, because they only had the one song in America, and America is so radio driven, even now, or internet as well, but obviously nowadays internet. But so if you got a song on the radio, that's all they want to hear. Sometimes at a gig, you'd have to do it 3 times because you can go, okay, we're going to do one of our new albums. No, don't want to hear it. You know what I mean? Yeah. If it's not famous, we're not giving you the chance. Whereas England, they will,
Yeah.
People go, I want to hear the new stuff, me. I want to get it.
Funny you said that. Rick Guy, Taylor Swift's manager, he said this, like when even Taylor Swift going around would go on those local radio stations, where you hear like it's 107.6 KPM, whatever, like the little independent, and yet they've got fucking so many loyal listeners who listen.
Done months of that. I used to do a place in Rochester, right? This is upstate New York, right? I used to go there, right? And did all that, but I was writing for these other bands. And anyway, go and do the radio show in the morning, do like an acoustic, like sort of songwriter session. And anyway, this is Rochester, right? And this guy was called The Wheeze. It's short for The Weasel because he had a long beard and all that. 2.5 million people used to fucking listen to this show. 2.5 million. It had this catchment area of, I don't know, and I'm going, he's just this boring fat fella with like the old Steve, like, hello, Mr. Angry, and all that, fucking all characters and that. And it's massive, and they've got big sponsors and all that, you see, and that's why. And if you're not prepared to do that, it's changed slightly now, obviously, with COVID and stuff, but if you weren't prepared to do that shit, you couldn't break a record in America. And that's what Coldplay had to do, and that's why they reckon Oasis didn't crack America, because they weren't willing to put it in.
Put in the effort of going,
they weren't willing to do,
those.
no, they just... I'm sure they did try, but I don't think Liam's exactly the sort of fella you want to wheel out on a breakfast show at 7 o'clock. Over in America, sorted all the shit in the breeze going, hello, it's sponsored by Dental Whites, you know what I mean? Yeah. You have to do all that shit or you won't get on.
That's
you know what I mean?
Mad, yeah.
And that's like the big tagline, isn't it? Break America. Like you're breaking America. And
that's where I had. I was, again, a funny story. This is just, I quit all this because anyway, I think I had a breakdown now looking back. But anyway, I miss my kids and all that. But there was I'll tell you, the last funny one was, I'm going to drop another name, get the net out. I just told you about the Sting thing, right? This girl, I had the same publicist as Sting, Michael Jackson. So I'm recording in the studio, and it's at the time, you won't remember this, you're too young, but this thing came out called 5.1, right? It was surround sound, so all the big albums that had been recorded in history, they wanted to mix them again in surround sound, this 5.0, right? So I'm in the studio. It's a guy called Mick Gazowski. He's one of the top engineers in the world, won about 80 Grammys, right? I still speak to him every now and again on Facebook and stuff. Really sound fella, but he won't mind me saying this, but he probably won't listen to this part. He looks a bit like Jabba the Hutt. He's not the prettiest you've ever met. That's coming from me, you know what I mean? I'm no oil paint. But so I'm in the studio. So he rings me up, and I'm back in my hotel. We're finished for the day. He goes, John, I've got to ask you a favour. So what's that? He said, I'm going to need you to let me use the studio with someone else tomorrow. I went, no. I said, I've got to finish this. I want to go home. I want to go home to my kids. He goes, please. He said, it's a pretty important guy. I went, who can be more important than, I want to get this finished. He goes, well, it's Michael Jackson. I went, how much? And he went, and he went, well, they've said they give you 10,000 if you'll step out for the day. I went, what? I'm back in that. Yeah. He said, they'll give you $10,000 if you do it. I went, what time? What time can I come and collect me money? So it goes down here. Anyway, he arrives, and I thought I'd be the scout, so I wanted to meet him, know what I mean? Anyway, I didn't got a Kalishnikov pulled on me by his security, I never got to meet him. But I look at it this way, you know what I mean? Michael Jackson paid me 10 grand not to go to work.
Yeah,
that is mad. Literally just not to turn in for the day.
Just not to go in so we could have the studio with this guy because he wanted to finish this 5.1 surround sound. So anyway, this is near the end. I'm in this bar in New York. I wrote a song actually called Liverpool Rain, which I've been doing this podcast with my mate. Yeah. I've been going back to singing for a bit, just to it's this actually, Stay Sane Sessions anyway, but he's doing it because obviously he's a musician, he's lost his entire living, you know what I mean? So he's knocking these sessions out, Andrew James, so I do that with him. And we actually did this song the other day, which is funny enough. I wrote a song called Liverpool Rain, and this there's a story about it. It was going to be on a big movie, right? You talk about principles. They had this big movie. It wasn't Tom Cruise. It could have been Brad Pitt. It was someone massive, right? And all he said to me was, right, and this is $100 grand, right? And talk about principles. He said, John, amazing song. We've spoken to the movie people. They love it. They want to change the words to California Rain. I said, tell them to go fuck themselves. You know what I mean? It's called Liverpool Rain. Ask me now. Right, I fucking drove over there. I walked on my hands. You know what I mean? It said, change it to what you want.
So a film wanted you
Yeah, they wanted a song. Anyway, I don't think the film ever got made in the end, but it doesn't matter. I would have got me money.
You would have got your money regardless.
Yeah, and all they wanted to do was, all they asked me to change was one word.
So you know when...
Why did you not? I know principles,
Because
but
I was at sit. But listen, that's what music did to me, and that's why I was glad I got out when I did. And I eventually stopped music in my mid-30s. I went back to doing what I like doing, which is being in Liverpool, doing pubs, doing the odd tour with my mates and knocking stuff out. But it did that to me, music. It turned me into, like, because everyone is so horrible.
Out to get you.
You know what I mean? I was very defensive, and I was I was over passionate about what I did and over protective, and I should have. But then again, I'm going to admit something. If I'd have gone along with them, right, I genuinely think I would have been dead.
And why? What?
Because everything I believed in and everything I thought was right, even though I ended up potless, right, I would have sold it all. And that's what the song's about, like fucking selling out. And it sounds selling out, and the money does sound good. I would know now. Know what I know now about life. I would have done the money, and I would let them do what they wanted to the song. But I don't regret walking away, because I do think the people in that life and what they were turning me into, I think it would have ended me. I think I would have had a full-on, and I've only noticed this in the last few, I think I would have had a full-on nervous breakdown, and I've never ever been close to anything like that. I'm a mentally tough person. But it was
just being in that industry and being in, yeah.
I had to get home, and that's why when that, anyway. So the final meeting that broke the camel's back was, I'm there with this girl who's this. She's like the publicist for Sting and Michael Jackson and all that. They're called Catherine Schenker Associates. I don't know whether they're going anymore. They're probably not. I hope not. Otherwise, they'll fucking sue the arse off me. But, I was only kidding, Sting. So I'm in this meeting in this place called Tequilaville. Anyway, so they come in. The day with this millionaire back of the days, she comes in and goes, John, I am so sorry. She said, but you know how Sting can go on when he gets going. And I was like, oh, fucking hell, get me out. I've got to go home. She was an hour late because she just had to tell me that it was because of Sting had a few problems, you know what I mean? And I just went on. And I walked away.
As in, like, the fakeness and everything.
I walked away from that. I had a lot of contracts. I was getting a lot of paid jobs for writing and doing other stuff. And they said if I went home, that'd be they'd sue me. And I went home. And they were right, they did. And I lost everything. But I've never been so happy in my life.
Fuck. So
wait, there's a lot going on here, which I want to ask about.
I can ask me. I'll tell you what I can.
You know, from when... So, you're in London, so just... Because I know we've skipped about a bit. How did you go from being in a band singing to then one day kind of commanding these fees for writing songs and studio time and, you know...
Yeah, so I came back to Liverpool and started a company with my mate, and he didn't really want to do it. And then we got an investor came in, which is the first mistake. And all of a sudden, I couldn't even tell you what sort of triggered it, but then all of a sudden, everyone they were dealing with only wanted to deal with me. Because, I'm not saying I was unique, but I had a sort of an English slant on everything, you know what I mean? And I was quite charismatic, and I don't know fucking anymore, but I was there. You know, I had a bit of life, you know what I mean? I've always had that. You know, I was willing to have a go, a little bit like when I was 17. And then it's weird how these things, it just happens. And like, all of a sudden, when you say your phone's red hot, it was like mad. I'm like anyone else. If someone keeps telling you you're brilliant, and then another person says you're brilliant, and then you get another one goes, oh my God, you need to meet John Neal, he's amazing, he's just fucking, you start to believe it. You know what I mean? You can see these people, do you know what people slag these ones off who are famous and they go, he's this, he's that, he's whatever. It is so hard, you know, it's so hard when you're getting told all day, every day.
Especially if, like, you know, you hear of these, like, especially in, like, Hollywood or the Valley in LA, and everyone's in that ecosphere of how great everything is, and and that's it. The internet was exploding, right? So I met these lads who are from Louisiana State University, right? They invented this thing, a little bit like sort of Napster back in the day, and it was a musical download site, right? These lads went from being students in the university to getting 25 million, right? They were paying me $1,000 a day as an in-house writer to create stuff for them. And then they used to get up and go, we don't want to work today, John, go and do what you want. And I'd be going, what? Yeah, go do what? Just have a day off. And I'd turn up the next day, I'm not coming in today.
And they'd still pay you?
Yeah, and then they were just going through, they had, like, you know, without being honourable, they had, you know, 20, what do you call them, escorts? I don't want to say hookers. It's like
Hookers, yeah.
Yeah, they had 20 of them living in the house.
Fuck it. No.
And they were just working their way to this 25 million. And anyway, they did it. and I got 3 months work out. And I didn't do it. I still couldn't tell you. I don't think I finished the job.
Really,
There's still...
I kept ringing home going, I don't know what I'm doing here. And like, but it was good money. But then, as I said, I lost.
And they blew all that 25, blew
yeah.
it.
One of the lads, I don't want to say his name because of things I've said here, but he went on to work in a big, what do you call a big internet in Silicon Valley, and he went and he made it again. But the other lads just disappeared.
That's fascinating.
25 million. They got up front, right? But I mean, what are you doing giving like 4 21-year-old lads?
Yeah.
You know, in 25 mil and no one asking them what to do with it.
How do you think it's going to go? I mean...
That's what and listen, they look...
They had a good time.
I don't do drugs and all that. They did everything.
Good on them.
You know, and they
Good on
lived,
them.
you know, so fair play to them. They're alive. All 4 of them are alive, thank God. I looked a few of them up. I've spoken to the one lad. I say, I know it's things you can't, but I just don't want to be...
Yeah.
It sounds like a minor, but it wouldn't be hard to work it out, anyone who's back there in the day who it is. But but that just wore me down. They were a good story. They were all right to work for, you know. I didn't have a problem staying money to what they want, but then I was burnt out. And I just remember, I just said to them, after that night, and now it broke the camel's back with the Sting story. I said, I'm going home to Liverpool. And I'd written a song that I'd done the other day, the one I'd been offered the money for, and that looked like it wasn't going to happen. So I said, I'm going home, I want to see the kids. I used to fly home from New York on a Friday, right, on Friday, and then I'd be back at Manchester or Heathrow on a Sunday night.
To fly back.
Fucking hell.
And it sounds great, doesn't it? It
sounds tiring.
It sounds fucking glamorous and all these things all rolled in, right? Honestly, and it's only time as a great healer, really coin a phrase, you'll have a better phrase in your motivator speech. But you know what? It's amazing how you look back and think, thank God I got out, even though I was skint and I went back to nothing. I remember the first night I came home, got in bed with the 2 lads, and they were only, George could only have been 8. And I think RJ must have been 4 or 5, whatever he was. And I've never slept like I slept. It was fucking brilliant.
I'm so happy to be
and
home.
I knew I'd lost everything. And in fact, I'd lost more than everything because they actually sued me for the loads as well, which I didn't end up paying a lot of it back because breach of contract and stuff. But
when you say you lost everything, like just everything, you come back with nothing.
So
all the contracts that I had with them, like I put a few quid away. I managed to, like I had put a few quid away, which they didn't know about. Fucking hell, they're not watching. Nah, they're all well gone. But so I put a few quid away, but then obviously they sued me for a bit. I lost a lot of lawyers and I was.
Okay, so just why? So what did you? So you left it. What did they sue you? And who were they again? Sorry, that sued you.
Well,
Tom's a fucking investor, fucking gated journalist.
A lot of just things I'd signed up to do, you know, contracts for jobs, you know, like to write the commercials or to write something else or to do whatever. I'd signed up for a lot. I had like a year's work in the book that they give me a lot of dough up front, you know what I mean? What you do is a lot of these, like if you get a job, and that's the other killer. I'd had the business of being doing the music business. I had other people working for me as well at the time. And it all got out of hand. I had investors who'd invested in them to keep them in work and just everything. But like an awful lot of the problem in that sort of music business, you get a little bit up front, but then you get the rest in 9 or 12 months. You know what I mean? No one wants to fucking pay you. You've done the job 9 months ago. You're still waiting to get the worst payers in the world, the Disney. You know what I mean? Fucking biggest corporation on the planet.
Yeah, and
It's one they make you wait like you're the limo man. You know what I mean? Sorry, mate. You know, I've got to fucking take my bottles back and wash them. You know what the fucking hell's going on? But so it was that I lost the company, which basically was me. People waiting for me, and then
and even you flying back to the UK couldn't protect you because was the business set up in the US?
No, it was a UK company, and then we had contracts with US companies, and then you set up when you have a business in America, you can set up an entity, but it's under US law. Right. Even though you're allowed to have a bank account as a UK. I don't know if it's the same now, but like you're allowed to have it, but it all comes under US law. You don't come over to the country of your origin, but that's how you're allowed to trade.
Right.
like, so it's an awful like what Amazon can do. Amazon can do what they want because it comes under the law of wherever they're set up.
Yeah, Luxembourg a lot of the time, or Ireland,
you know,
or whatever.
and it comes up to the law of there. So if anyone wants to sue them, they've got to do it there. I mean, you can sue them, but you haven't got it.
What? I'm going, sorry.
I was just so they sued you, and then
I'm fucking obsessed with this bit.
Can you not talk about more? Is that why you don't want to? Because I don't want to keep
Not
probing it.
It's like not a lot, not because of any other reason. I probably don't remember like it's a great time because then I came out of music and then I got into what I do now. Do you know what I mean? Which is totally different. But a lot of it is like basically I was sued for breach of contract in every way, right? And then obviously the company built up debts in America because you're paying people before you get paid.
In 9 months or whenever, Disney or
so then other people are chasing it for their money. So I had to find that to give to them, knowing that I'm not going to get the other money down the line because I'm in breach of contract. So, you know, so all the money I've built up or whatever, I've used that to pay everyone else off, thinking I might get a bit of this, but I'm not now because I walked. But don't get me wrong, I walked away my own free choice. No one made me do it.
Were you not gutted by how it ended then? You've had these amazing... I know you said you were glad, but you had kids at home, but...
I was, but your sanity's fucking more important.
Yeah, of course.
Like, I think anyone who's experienced anything like that, you know, when it comes to the end of something, right? It's better that it's the end, right? Like, what do they call it? It's better a horrible end than a horror without end. Do you know what I mean? It's better that something ends badly than it drag out forever.
Yeah.
You know, and make you more and more miserable. And it's hard to know that until you step away. But I think I've come across loads of people in my life where you'll speak to them and I'll go, once it was over, I was all right.
Yeah.
It's the process that fucking drags you down.
You know, just on that, it's now, mate, you've explained it perfectly. When I still had my leg, and that 18 months before I had it amputated was fucking hell.
We've had this tour.
You know, the second...
in your book as well, innit?
Yeah, you know, the second I woke up from that operation, like you're saying, the fucking weight of the world had been lifted from my shoulders. I could breathe again. And it's like that saying, it was a horrible ending having my leg amputated, but it's better than fucking going on that horrible forever.
Yeah. It's like when murderers get arrested, when they actually arrested them in the police, it's like, it's finished now. I've done.
Yeah, I'm on the moment. So that's it.
Did you see that Dennis Nielsen one? The one that was on not so long ago with what's his name? The great actor David Tennant. Dennis Nielsen, the mass murderer in the 80s. No. He's a serial killer in the 80s. Killed all these men. Anyway, like it's a similar line. He all took them from the transcripts of the interviews, and basically when he gets caught, he goes, "What took you so long?" You know what I mean? I'm being like, thank God.
It's over.
I haven't got to do it anymore.
I actually shared something along this conversation on my Instagram a few days ago, and it was an interview that Tom Hardy done with Charlie Bronson when he was practicing for the film. And Charlie Bronson says to him, Tom Hardy starts telling him about his love life, and he's fucking up the wall with his missus, and he's this and he's that, and that's basically getting a bit of therapy off Charles Bronson over the phone. And Charles Bronson says, tells him this story about the floods. And he says there was a kid who got his leg stuck in a grid, and it started raining and the floods, and it was coming. And in the end, the kid died. And Charlie Bronson goes, "That wouldn't have happened to me." And Tom Hardy's like, "Really, yeah?" He says, "Yeah, because I would have said, cut it fucking off."
Yeah.
And it's like, sometimes in life, you need to chop a little part of yourself off in order to grow.
Definitely.
And it's like that thing of you need to, whether it's a business decision, whether it's coming home, whether it's, sometimes you need to make a big decision in order to close the door. Fucking, you know, you might be smaller, you might have been hurt, you might be financially, whatever it may be, but then you take stock and you're like, okay.
Well, you've said, haven't you, and I think it's in your book, you've said, like, the pain of that 18 months was like, you couldn't live like that anymore?
No, I didn't know where I was coming or going. Every day I'd go, right, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go here, go there, do this, do that. I wake up, my leg was fucked, and I can't do fucking anything.
No.
And then the next day I wouldn't plan to do nothing, but my leg would feel alright, and then I'd have nothing to fucking do, and then it'd be like,
it's not funny.
Didn't know whether you're coming or you're going. It was not like, and like you say, it's when I think, from your decision there, coming back from the States and knowing you're kind of facing the music, or me with my leg, I think everyone's got those things in life. You just need to make a decision. It's fucking shit, and it's hard, and it's tough.
Like you said, once you do it, And like, I've always been one that's enjoyed the fight anyway. You know, and that's when I went on now, start the company that I'm still running today. It took me a few years to get around, re-educating myself, done all these things, but I've always been one, I enjoy the fight. Do you know what I mean? I like being
the underdog.
Bottom. I like being for fighting and trying to do, you know, wall, because all of a sudden you get up in the morning, and even though it's because you know you need to feed your kids, or you know you need to pay your mortgage, or whatever it is, it's a reason to get up.
Purpose, yeah.
You know, when you get up and you go, I've got no choice. I can't lie in bed. I can't, you know. Go out to 4 a.m. on the piss. I have got to learn about chemistry and all this thing for me new, whatever the business I was doing, you know. And it's a great feeling.
Unlike those 25 mil, they would just say, don't
forget, these are incredibly bright lads. They come up with that idea. They were doing this before anyone else had, but all of a sudden, someone had given them a shitload of money and fucking demotivated them.
Yeah.
It's like to say about boxers, don't they? I think it was a heavyweight boxer he said it's really hard to get up to go for a run when you're sleeping in silk sheets.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know, when you're not fucking sleeping in a single bed in your man's fucking box room, you're fucking getting up and you're running.
I know, I mean, I'm 50 now. In fact, I'm not, I'm 51. I don't know why I keep saying it. I was 51 December. But I'm not complete by any stage. I've still got my own frailties. And my dad dying fucking was a massive thing that hit me about 18 months ago. But I look back and I don't regret any of that, but I do know now, and I accept that I love to fight. I know that's what gets me up in the morning. That's what makes me go to bed. And now it's changed. My kids are all grown up. They're all living their own lives. Whatever. I've got my grandkids and other things now, but I've still got it. And I think COVID's going to do that to a lot of people. You know, when we come out of this, I think as a country we've been really disappointing. I think our attitude.
In what sense?
Well, I think we've been a little bit selfish. I think we've been a little bit insular. Again, like the Liverpool thing I said earlier. I think we've always been a nation that's always invented and looked forward and, you know, found answers to things. And we seem to be blaming everything else. You know what I mean? But I guarantee, coming out of this, we will see us going back to be like the inventive, the creative, you know, the heart. Because I know it's the hard thing in it, but like, what's that expression? Necessity is the mother of invention. Right? I am a firm believer that the bottom of every trough is the maximum opportunity. And that's all we've got to do is retrain. So if I come out of COVID, let's say my business goes tits up. I mean, it isn't at the moment, which is great. So I hope it doesn't. But if it was to, right, I know I'm still young enough, and I'm 51, but I know in the back of my mind, thinking, I'm going to be back on, fucking getting my boots on again.
Yeah.
Getting back on the pitch. You know
it's
what
funny,
I mean?
you know.
Hey guys, we're putting the band back together.
Mate, you know Sam Walton, who founded Walmart. He was 65 or 69, I think, when he started Walmart.
Was he?
Yeah. So if it does, which it won't.
No, but
it's a good point that
what
you
I'm trying to say is the whole country. You will see things come out of this, right? Because people are going to have to retrain. They're going to have to do what I did when I'm not saying like I was this massive success story. I'm not. I've made a few quid. I've managed to own racehorses, do all these lovely things. You know what I mean? I haven't got a mortgage and I'm fucking all this. I'm in a very privileged position, but I'll still want to get up.
Yeah.
I still want to go, and that's what people will do. Exactly the way I was when it came back. What am I going to do now? Right? And the ones who've got it in them, I'm not saying it's going to be incredibly difficult. I really feel for people who haven't got the ability to retrain and haven't got it in them to fight anymore, because this is going to, I think, we talked a bit earlier before we started about my passion for stamp out suicide. I think suicide is going to be the biggest killer to come out of this. You know what I mean? But the ones who can fight, and we need to all help each other fight, is we will learn things and fucking do things that we didn't think we were capable of.
Yeah.
Agree.
You know what I mean? And that will be brilliant to watch, won't it? It'll be like the fucking birth of the Beatles again in the 60s. And I'm not saying the music, I just mean there'll be an explosion of creativity, desire, business, retraining. We have to take the positives. It's almost like a restart button's being pressed.
It is, yeah. It's like the Roaring 20s when the same thing happened in 1920.
You know the classic when your telly fucks up, innit? And you ring your mate and he goes, he goes, have you tried turning it on and off again? No, I haven't. Fucking first thing it did, but that's what we're going to do.
Yeah, it's good. I hope so.
But I'm not trying to be an eternal optimist, because I, as an individual, I've been it, but I've seen other people. I do think we can, and I do think we will.
On that then, mate, just a personal to you, was it not because one thing I've struggled with in that sense, which has made me lazy, the way you say you love the fight, and I love the fight as well, but sometimes it took me longer to get back into the fight. How was your ego at that point? Did you come back to Liverpool with your tail between your legs? Was you kind of like, fucking hell, I was on the verge of, you know, fucking writing for them. Was it a bit of like, fucking hell, I don't have to fucking reinvent myself. I've just had Michael Jackson paying me 10 grand to fucking, you know.
I think the thing I did, and I think it's a really interesting way to look at it, is I think what I realised was I was really starting to not like myself. And again,
that's a powerful thing to say.
You know what I mean? I was on that verge where I don't like you. You know what I mean? Or what I was becoming and what I'd become. And
in what sense? Sorry, John. Like,
everything
because you hadn't seen your kids and you were not a good father, or
listen, I always thought I was a good dad. I always thought I was away trying to do the right thing, but I still missed them. I still wish I had those times back when I was away in New York for 3-4 months at a time. You know what I mean? I still wish I'd been around them. But you know what? I managed to get home and get reset. But I didn't like. I've become to the point I'm fucking hell. There's going to be people watching this who are going to say you're exactly the same now. I couldn't listen to anybody else's opinion. I couldn't reason. I'd stopped listening. My mum used to say years ago, because I used to talk all the, I had a terrible speech impediment when I was a kid. I used to stutter constantly. I still do it now when I'm tired or nervous, but I used to stutter. I couldn't get a word out. And when I did talk, I was so excited because I could talk. I wouldn't fucking shut up, right? And my mum said to me once, she said, "No, when you go to school, you do know you can use these and not just this all the time, don't you?" And I said, "Yeah, you're right, man. No, I've got to listen a bit more and stop talking, you know." And she was right. Yeah. And that's what I'd stopped doing. And I say people say that about me now, but there's also a fine line. You don't want to become fucking submissive and oh yeah, go on, fucking roll me over and tickle me belly. You know what I mean? But there's a time experience, unfortunately. There's only one way to garner experience, and it costs a fortune. And that can be either emotionally or it can be financially, or it can be both. Yeah. and unfortunately for me, it was both. But I reckon I love the one with Harry Finley, right? And I loved his book, you know. Harry fucking compares himself, well, doesn't compare himself, but the Warren Buffett thing, and he will have made 20 million. Warren Buffett's going to turn his 20 million into $1 billion where fucking Harry spent all his, right? But I bet you Harry doesn't regret anyway.
No. I speak to Harry still, he's fucking loves.
And he's always going to, I've met him actually through the racing because, you know, as you know, I love my horse racing. But I'd rather be Harry Finley than Warren Buffett.
Same, I've always said that.
You know what I mean? Now, he'll always, listen, he's not fucking pauper, by the way. He might be giving it.
Oh, we stayed in his house. He's fucking got a nice house.
Oh, no,
he had a nice house for us.
He's a genius, really. You know.
Yeah, he's a top guy.
He's a genius. He'll always make money, and he'll reinvent himself. He's done it 4 or 5 times already, and he'll do it again. It's always in a similar line, but he'll reinvent himself because he's able to do that. I'm not comparing myself in any way to him because he's a brilliant character. I've just read this book literally now, and I found it really inspirational, and it resonated with me a lot because I think we're similar. He's obviously just an awful lot mathematically fucking sounder than I am.
He's a great guy.
But you know, he's the sort of people who say, and that's what we need. And sometimes there's a price to be paid, and he paid a massive price, didn't he? You know, when he got kicked out of racing and all these things, and we're totally unjustly. But you've got to come back. Yeah.
So, like I say, it's great what you've done and now your life has gone on, which we'll touch on now. I just think it's a really I'd say noble thing to come back and go, you know what, fuck, my ego needs to fucking sit aside. I don't like who I'm becoming. I need to fucking back to the drawing board and recreate. I think that's powerful, that, to me, I think. Because I think ego is something that I've personally struggled with, and I know people do struggle with, to think that, you know, fucking hell, I was once this fucking hell, I'm not going to do that now.
No.
You know.
And especially like now, you see the amount of like, there's pilots who are Tesco delivery drivers, and surely there's plenty of people who would not have that. I'm not fucking driving a Tesco van.
I think that's a really good point. You've got to park your fucking ego at the gate, and you've got to go to work. And I think that is I'm going to say something, I'll probably regret this, but I'm not asked to be honest. There's a really nice point you get to in your life when you like yourself, and I've had a load of knock-ons the last couple of years, especially my dad dying, really hit me hard, and I didn't expect it to, do you know what I mean? But when you actually look at yourself in the mirror, whatever it is, and you go, I'm alright, do you know what I mean? I'm not perfect, I still fuck up, I still have the odd drink too much, I still piss people off at the wrong time, I still talk too much, but you know, I'm alright with me. You know, I've got a good heart, I don't want to hurt anybody intentionally. You know what I mean? I know we all do it because we're all careless times. You know, but I've got a good heart. I'm not an arsehole. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, and that's a lovely feeling. And I've got to be honest with you. I found that, and I don't ever think I'll lose it. But like I say to you, I've paid a hard price to get there, emotionally and financially. But I look at both things that I think they were good investments.
It's a great way of looking at it, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It cost me a lot more than I wish it had, but would I be the person I am now? I don't think I would. Would I be as happy as I am now? Don't think I would. Would I like myself as much as I do now? Don't get me wrong, sometimes I wake up and go, fucking hell, you fat bastard, get the gym, you know what I mean? Get your fucking life stage. Why did you have that extra glass of wine last night? There's an awful lot of things I'll never learn, you know what I mean? I'll never get any better than that. But it's nice to like yourself, innit?
Yeah.
So from when the music then kind of stops in America, you're back in Liverpool, is it safe to say then from kind of then to now, it's been kind of the renewable energy and the horse racing, is that them the two big...
Well, I tell you what, the freaking jobs I did, I went back to singing in pubs on my own for 150 quid a night. I with a little bit of money I put away, I bought and sold cars for a year. I turned 10 grand into 90, which to me...
buying and selling cars?
Yeah, and shite. I mean, I was going... And by the way, I still can't change the fucking oil. And it took me... My mate Brian, who runs the garage down the road here, who does all my cars for my company and all that, he even says, do you know where the bonnet thing is? I actually don't. So I'm buying and selling cars.
I can imagine you being such a good salesman as well.
And, you know, you talk about getting up in the morning. I loved it.
Yeah.
Fucking loved it. And then I found my specialist area, which was Japanese cars. So all I sold was Nissans. And people would be coming from London, from Glasgow, because, you know, a lot of the Asian community in it. No, it isn't racist. It's not racist.
No. I was just laughing.
It's just a fact. In the early 2000s, all the onto the way was Nissan Micras, right? So I'd be fucking driving out, offering Mrs. Jones and Egbert, you know what I mean, 800 quid for a Nissan Micra. Oh lad, it's only worth 6. I said, I know, but I'll tell you the truth. I've got a fella there who's going to give me 12 when I drive off. Are you happy with 8? Yeah, all right. So you take the 8 and I'll take the 12. See, like, but you know, and I loved it. I only did it for a year. I wouldn't want to go back and do it again. I reckon it's an harder game even now. But I loved it. Never done it in my life. But it got me back.
How would you sell car when obviously Auto Trader? So it's just in the magazines. Is that how you had to sell?
But it was when Auto Trader was fair. And again, because I'd been with the internet lads in the States and all that, I was right into the internet. And Auto Trader just started. I know they used to do a magazine. You were too young.
No, I remember the magazine.
I do remember
it was a paper magazine, you know what I mean? But they just started to do it on the internet, right? Now, it turns out the people I was selling to, Glasgow, London, they didn't care about how far they had to drive to get a car. If it was the right price, it was the right price. But they just wanted to buy Japanese cars. No one in Liverpool, listen, it's God's honest truth. No one would touch Japanese cars up here. They thought, I'm not having a Japanese car. They were brilliant motors, you know what I mean? No, not denying, not Clarkson, you know what I mean? But they were great cars. So they never broke down. Parts were cheap as shit, you know what I mean?
Very reliable.
Very reliable, you know? And no one liked it. But these people in Glasgow and whatever, and mostly, like I say, mostly the Asian community. And what I used to sell, and this is the God's honest truth, I used to sell to a lot of the Asian community. And I guarantee you, the fella who bought off me on the Monday, would ring me on the Friday, goes, I need a car for my brother. They just, because they're a big believer in, like, here, you know, they trust you. If you sell them something good, they think, Sam, go back to John. You know what I mean? So next thing, the brother will ring you, and they're all, about 1 million cousins. Hello. It's a bit like Liverpool. Everyone's your cousin. They're like your third cousin 4 times. You know what I mean? Oh, he's my cousin. Or your uncle. Basically, if someone came to your house on a Friday, right, and went for a pint with your dad, he was your Uncle Eddie. You know what I mean? Everyone was your fucking uncle. But
how come you, if it was flying, why did you only do it for a year?
Because I hated it. You know, it's not a nice. It was purely a means to an end. And I took the money that I made there to be. I went to the bank, got a loans and all that, and then started the business that I'm in now. And in between, it allowed me to live my own life because it wasn't 9 to 5. The cars, basically, if someone didn't ring you, I'd buy the car at the auctions or off people privately. And if someone didn't ring you, you didn't have to go to work. You know what I mean? But I had a good. All I was concentrating on was good turnovers.
Do you reckon you could do it now?
It's a classic, isn't it? Oh, in my day. But I reckon it's harder. know what I mean?
Just because there's more people doing it, and
Yeah.
like, because I always hear about this auction thing. Oh, you can pick up some absolute bargains.
Tom's always got little mad ideas.
Let me tell you something about buying at the auctions, right?
Yeah.
And I've been burnt, like. There's tricks people can do, right? They've been doing it. And it's always the arm fellas. It's always a fella about 70 thinking, I'll have him off. You know what I mean? He'll bid you up on a car that he's fucking selling. Right? So he's bidding on his own car.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
already knows he's put an egg in it, so you'll get about a mile down the road and it'll overeat, you know what I mean? Whatever it is, I've seen every trick going, clocking the mileage and all that.
Yeah.
You know, and you always look at look at this fella here, I'll have him off, you know. They've done it.
Yeah,
Everything you've thought of to make dough.
Yeah, of course,
Right,
yeah.
they've done it. Like I'm saying in America, they've lost it already.
Yeah. They've
And
got
the
gone through those.
experience, and I haven't.
Yeah.
But you know, so that's the other reason I was very lucky. Made a few quid, and then, but at the same time, I was re-educating myself over this business. I wanted to move into renewable energy, and I was going to the library in Liverpool every day because in them days, like that was where the computers were on the internet for free, and the internet was only a recent thing. But you could go to a central library, and you could sit on the computer all day on the internet for free, doing all this research and whatever, and then. If you wanted to print something off and take it home and read it at night, they'd print it off for you for nothing, and then it was brilliant. You know what I mean?
So you just spent all the time in the
Yeah.
library? People,
If it wasn't selling cars.
phone going, yeah, micro, yeah.
What time? You whose cousin?
Hey, that's great though. Like though, throughout the story, like jokes aside, and that work ethic's continued there, and it.
But here's the really shocking part. I'm not a grafter. I couldn't do it with my dad. My dad was a coal man. You know what I mean? Fucking
Like manual labour.
I
sort of.
couldn't. Do you know? I'm even like it now. I can't change a plug. I'd rather pay me mate Mick, who does all the electrics in my car. I'll ring him, go do it. I've done it this week. I'm sure it's only a fuse, no, my boiler. I'm not even looking. You know what I mean? I'm not even going in there.
Yeah.
I mean, Mick does a favour. Oh, fucking hell, John, what is it now? Well, you know.
I don't blame you. I'm the same.
You know what I
as
mean?
that, yeah.
But it's like that. I used to say to people, do you say to me, oh, will you come and sing in my wedding? I go, yeah, I'll do that. Right? And then whoever it was would say to me, oh, why are you ringing him to come and hang that picture? Why don't you do it yourself? He goes, because he fucking gets paid to hang pictures.
Yeah.
That's right.
He's a
You don't
professional.
ring him to sing at your wedding, do you? No, you ring me. Pay someone for what they can fucking do.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
Oh god.
That's
And how on earth have you gone from selling Nissan Micras, Toyota Yaris to
Yeah, that was Toyota were great, by the way.
Toyota? Incredible.
fucking selling him a car next.
And the king of the Japanese car is indeed the luxury Toyota, the Lexus.
Yeah.
My dad's got a Lexus at the minute.
Has he?
Not like them, no.
What was
Oh, they're great, man. No, they're the luxury. They're like the BMW to
Okay.
the Volkswagen. Do you know what I mean?
the what was the name of it? Is it Toyota Hilux? That
Yeah.
pickup, the pickup that's indestructible.
Yeah.
Top Gear did a thing, didn't they, where they
I
drowned
remember
it?
that, yeah.
Oh, fucking hell, Tom, you're going to do a fucking motor car? What do you think about the shockies on the Toyota Hilux? Incredible torque, don't you think, Andy? Incredible torque.
But, you know, so there was this renewable energy.
Yeah, that's what
You've made that a success. Has
Yeah.
that kind of enabled you to go down with your passions for the horse racing?
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, as soon as I had enough money again, then I could afford to lose it. I wanted to get racehorses, you know what I mean? And I'm fortunate. I've learned from the music business. Like the lads, I've got a couple of directors in this business who are with me. I've got a fan commission, and they're just brilliant at the job. I don't no longer think I can do everything. I surround myself with people who are really good at what they do. Got great staff, got great... You know, I'm not good at everything. That's another lesson I learned. I thought I was in music, but I learned that I wasn't. And it's a great art. You just got to recognise, like we say there, you recognise what you're good at and stick at it, you know. And I'm not brilliant. I'm not particularly brilliant at everything, but I am good at ideas. I am good at talking to people. I am good at getting me ideas over. And then as soon as I had enough money, I just thought, right, fucking, what's the best way now? Instead of walking away and losing everything, I know what, I'll buy a shitload of racehorses. I'll get rid of this money somehow.
On that, mate, I seen it. I read an interview of you this morning. It was like, you know, and I get it. I was the same, you know, growing up, and it's like, you know, we live in a city where you've got one of the most successful football teams in the country. We've got world champions, boxers fucking coming out of our fucking ears, and we've got the greatest horse race in the world in our fucking corner. It's like, how can you not be involved in sport or gambling on it or watching it or playing it? Liverpool and sport are just, that's it.
Well, another strange thing I did when I was a kid, I went away to be a jockey when I was about 14. You used to every summer to ride for the same going any candy. And again, it was too much like hard work, do you know what I mean? I thought, this is hard, this getting up at 5 in the morning. So when I thought, I'm going to get out right, I'm not going to be a jockey, I'm not good enough. Then I'm older, I haven't got enough money. I'm not going to be a trainer because I'm not posh enough. So then oh, Nige, what is this? And then I thought, well, I can be the next best thing. I can be an owner. I can live it vicariously through that, you know what I mean? And I've been lucky, you know. My aunt fella used to say a thing about me, God rest him, that he used to say, if our John landed in a pit of snakes, he'd come out with a new pair of fucking shoes. And I've been lucky. Do you
my aunt fella says that about me. I hope I'm following your footsteps.
I've been really lucky, you know. I've owned like a great horse. I've got a few great ones now. And I just love, like you say, I love racing. I love me boxing, I love me footing, I love me racing. And that's...
And so was that from an early age, living around the corner from Aintree?
Well, too, like my grandma used to pick an ITV7 again. In fact, they brought it back now.
Yeah,
used to
they
be
got it now, yeah.
In the 70s and 80s. My nan was a terrible gambler. Terrible. You won't know, there was a jockey called Scobie Beasley, right? Until I was 15, I thought his middle name was Bastard. Because all my nan used to say, that fucking Scobie Bastard Beasley's lost again.
It's so funny though, mate, the upbringing. I remember, I reckon been gambling since I was like 13, 14, and the bookies, they know me over the road, I just put play spots on, just do a 50p play spot. Yeah. And it was back the days before phones, so I'd be in my nan's, and I'd wake up in the morning, I'd go and get my granddad the newspaper, come back, I'd take him on upstairs, and I'd be downstairs on one before he'd come down. And it'd be like my dad was a fireman, so he'd work 2 nights. And if the night was over the weekend, then I'd be there Saturday morning, looking at it, at the horses and all that, looking at the trainers who are in form, the jockeys that are in form, all that. And then I'd go over, do my play spot, and then the next day, I'd either look on I think it was the next day, I'd look in the newspapers to see the results and stuff, or I'd be running over and checking at the end of the day, at 5 o'clock on the teletext screens, and I was like 13, 14, I was like doing that, play spots.
Well, it's not as big now as it used to be, because now there's other ways of gambling on, and unfortunately lads are on the machines, well they're not on any of the minute, but like racing massive, and obviously with us, like, well you live just as close as that, but like, I'm stone's throw from Aintree, do you know what I mean? And I know, take over.
Yeah, I know it's not the healthiest thing as well, but I love that thing when you were a kid, you know, you could smoke in betting shops. You'd go in and there'd be just fucking loads of fellas in there.
There used to be a board with paper on, right? You couldn't see the board, you had to go right up.
Yeah, so
like,
smoking.
Oh, jeez.
But I love that, like, I just grew up like that in the pub.
And the bookies was always next to the pub, wasn't it?
Exactly, so I'd be me dad 10 minutes before my dad would let me go over and watch the match with him. And he'd give me like a 5 or a 10 and he'd go run the bookies and do fucking whoever first goal. And then you'd be running next door and then you'd win, so you'd get a couple of quid and you'd be playing pool. And then I fucking loved all that. And that's how I kind of grew up, and I fell in love with horse racing and football and gambling and all that. And so again, knowing how you'd made your successes and then jumped into that passion.
Well, it's great because I've met loads of great people through it, you know what I mean? I've met some brilliant people. I'm known as a bit of a character in the sport, which I'm comfortable with. I'm all right with who I am. I know I can't keep my mouth shut, but that's all right. Nigel, my trainer, is brilliant. Not just my trainer, trains for a lot of people, but he's brilliant. And then obviously my kids look like George, my eldest lad, he's in boxing right now, and not a similar thing. Jamie's a jockey, my youngest lad. My stepdaughter works for a Bloodstock magazine in racing. So like our lives have changed because of it, and they're all doing stuff. Look, they're not millionaires, they're not incredible successes yet, but they're working at a job they love doing. You know, that's winning, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the best thing you can do.
Did you never think, because horse racing to me, or at least owning racehorses, comes like, it has that air of like, you know, like Oxfordshire sort of like that snobbiness, sort definitely. Of like that never crossed. You know, you don't. You know, it's hard to mix sometimes, like, because you sound like, you know, from where you're from in Liverpool, and then to mix in.
What do you mean? I sound like where I'm from?
No. I mean,
fucking strong accent. What are you trying? I paid fortunes for these electrocution lessons.
No, yeah, I
dare you?
I think it came out wrong there. But what I'm trying to say,
did come out wrong.
You know where. There's a difference between a Scouse accent and someone who lives in Chipping Norton.
Listen,
Do you know what I mean?
I've about discrimination or like sort of looking down on you. Racing's right for it, like. I'm looking, oh God, like my trainer, I'm saying again, Nige and his lads are like Sam, Willie, everyone down there runs it, all the lads who ride with us, they're great. But I've been lucky to land with them. I've encountered a lot of snobbery in it. I had
because of the elitist sort
where's
of.
the Nigel?
I will say a very famous woman in racing. After I won a massive race, probably the biggest race before Christmas in racing, I won this race, and I was having a drink for everyone in a hollow bottom. Quite legendary our parties. One of them went on for 5 days. It was good.
I'm going to ask you about that in a minute.
Yeah, and then anyway, her supposed compliment to me was to say to me, I think it's really nice that people like you can own racehorses.
Fucking hell.
That's mad, isn't it?
And I just looked at her and I went, you know what? I can't even be arsed. I just walked away and thought, yeah, cheers. Now, the old me
Would have.
would have gone, who the f*** do you think you're talking to? But look, you're not going to change them, are you? You're not going to change someone. That's not just in racing. That can be in any walk of life. I'm not going to change it, am I? She's not going to think all people from Liverpool are all of a sudden educated, speak properly, and they just automatically assume you've either stole your money, you've made it out of drugs or whatever it is. But that's the way.
Yeah.
That's because of the world they live in.
Sure.
You know, they read the Daily Mail. That's what they get told. That's what they believe. That's what life is.
Mate, can you remember your buying your first horse?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Ah, that's great. Well, we named him before we'd ever fucking bought him. Me and my mate Pete. Well, he's my brother-in-law actually. But we went to Doncaster Sales and bought. I was going to call him Splashy Ginge anyway, because
Not a Japanese horse.
not a Japanese horse. No, he wasn't. Although there is a lot of horses in Japan.
Is there?
Yeah, it's massive. Yeah, it's massive. But so yeah, and we called him Splashy Ginge. I had a dream. I had a horse called Splashy that won the Grand National. Obviously, my handful. All my horses, not all mine. The vast majority of my horses will have Ginge in the name somewhere. That's my handful's nickname. So I said to me dad, because it was mostly like, oh, we're going to buy a horse, and he turned out, I mean, incredibly lucky. Like we paid 20 grand for him, and he won us 300 odd.
Jesus.
That's without the gambling. So
You go.
under on top of that gambling. I don't like to talk figures like that, but I fucking give it back since on other horses. You know what I mean? But he was very successful.
When you're spending this 20 grand, are you knowing? Obviously, you're a racing man, you're in it, but I mean, are you knowing? There's a difference in liking it and enjoying it, and knowing that's a fucking donkey or not.
We didn't know. I mean, I employed one of them. You pay him a commission. A guy called Anthony Bromley, who's probably the most famous bloodstock agent in the country. So I thought, even though I'm not spending hundreds of thousands like the Arabs, I'm going to get a fella in who knows what he's doing. Anyway, so got him in, and then we paid 20 grand for him. And but all he's doing, he can't tell you. These horses have never had anyone sit on them. They've never even run in a straight line. They haven't had a saddle on the back. You'd go on by how they walk, the breeding, and all you're trying to do is narrow the parameters. And that's all Bromley does. He's a very, very clever man. And then he just narrowed. And again, it's like everything in it, massive amount of luck, like huge. Plus the massive skill of the trainer, who's known as our trainer now. He's known as sort of being pound for pound the best trainer. He won't have as expensive horses as the other guys, but he'll constantly overachieve. So I sort of thought, I'll find a trainer a bit like myself. So someone who's got a bit of imposter syndrome, which I've always had that. I'm just waiting for someone. Even now, it's happened to me. I was telling someone not so long ago, a year ago, I was feeling a bit down over my dad dying. It was getting to me a bit. And I think I've always had that imposter syndrome, where someone's going to tap me on the shoulder and go, you've run out of luck this time, soft shite. You know what I mean? All this isn't really yours. I don't mean
you're not deserving of it, like.
Yeah, I've always had that. I've always had a bit of that. Say I like myself, but I've always thought, how have I got this? And I'm not Bill Gates. Do you know what I mean? I'm all right and I'm comfortable, but I'm not.
Yeah, but you've still got that.
20 million. I'm not, but I've still got that. How
have I pulled this off?
How have I blagged this?
Yeah.
How have I got this far?
You need to give yourself a bit more credit, man.
Yeah, but no, it's sound. It's only when you're going through, obviously, just because of my dad, and obviously that meant my dad and my mum, they're name adoptive parents, I hate to say that word, but they were, so, they gave me everything, and then you feel like, all the money in the world's not going to bring them back, and you get away, and I'd still rather, I'd give everything I've got to have a pint with my dad and watch the horse run, you know what I mean? And they could say to me, right, after the horse run, you've had a pint with your dad, one more pint where he goes to me. Because my dad was terrible, the tightest bastard you've ever met. And you're like, when I threw these parties, you know, I go, will you fucking behave? Because we won 90 grand when we won the Bet Victor Gold Cup. No, prize money's 90,000. And my dad goes, you fucking spent that before we even got back to the alehouse. Stop buying everyone drinks and all. I'm like, Dad.
I can imagine. I've obviously been a few horse race, but never really like betted crazy amounts, or whatever. But I can imagine when you win that amount of money and your horse, that must be the fucking best feeling.
It is, but you know what's great, and this is true. And I know Andy bet big on one of my horses one time at Adoch, which I
recorded. That story up in a minute, yeah.
And then
I still owe you a pint for that.
And this is the truth. And I've won a lot of big races now. Very, very lucky. Like especially that lad, he won the 2 biggest handicaps you can win. He came second at the Cheltenham Festival. He got chinned, you know what I mean, by us, by Gordon Elliott. Funny, you know. Don't know why I'm laughing. Sorry, Gordon. He's got other things on his plate. He won't be watching this. I never ever, as the horse is going up and it's going to win, I've never thought about the money.
Just the actual fact that the horses, a
horse with my name on, with my colours, that runs in Liverpool and Everton because my family are half an hour. So he runs in royal blue and red, you know. Fuck, that's mine. I'm from a fucking street in Norris Green where everyone said to me, not everyone, you know, but people in establishments like, you can't do this. I used to watch them walking around with the rats on, though, like the trilbies and the ring, and I want to be in there. I want to be one of them. You know what I mean? So you never, I can honestly say that. And I've won, I say that horse won we won 2 95 grand races.
Jesus.
Right. And in neither of them was have you not seen that video?
He's like, it's like you sticking it up to no minute and saying, I'm still the same lad, but I'm fucking here with you.
Yeah, it's mad. It's like, but you'd never think about honestly. And like, I didn't even know when he won the Betfair Ale. Bit of a funny story. I woke up on the Monday, I'd been pissed for 2 days. I still kept drinking till the Wednesday. I looked at my Betfair account, I'd won 17 grand. I didn't even know I'd had that many bets. But he was 100 not to 1. And I was only having tenors and 20 quid through the week. Where's that come from? Anyway, funny enough, the party was 17 grand, so I kept my alpha happy, you know what I mean?
Go on, what am I typing something in here to find?
Splash of Ginge.
Yeah, put John Neal, Splash of Ginge in.
Celebration or something.
Not that I Google myself.
Winners enclosure or something.
Yeah, and then just click on videos there.
Outside of Splash of Ginge claims surprise win it. Is that no?
Yeah, if I watched that before, that look on Sunday, but then you need to forward it, go to the end.
Oh, there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so
I'm with you.
This is the
What's this? Do you edit all this out there?
No, people can see all this.
No, see all this, yeah.
And then go to like, you'll see it on come up.
Towards the end.
Oh, it might be the middle end, sorry. Don't know. But yeah, it's your celebrations, isn't it? So this is when he's winning his first big races, John?
No, this is... Yeah,
here we go.
Right. This is... You can see him cross. This is when he won the Bet Victor Gold Cup. This is over fences. This is his second real big win.
Right, so let's get this sound up here.
Can we just get a bit of... I want to build this day up as well then, John. So how long have you had Splash of Ginge for this?
We'd had him 5 or 6 years by this point, and he was a bit of a bit like his owner again. He was written off that he was past his best. But he loves to love the rain, real heavy ground. All my horses seem to like it. And we've been in the pub, the Hollow Bottom, which is in the village just outside Cheltenham. A place called Guyton Power, where Nige trains. And it started to rain. And we all looked at each other and we went, this is fucking happening. So we're having a few more quid on. All the staff in the pub, like we've been there for 2 nights again. We said, do you want us to give you the tip? We normally tip well. We'd been eating and drinking there for the 2. They said, do you want a tip or do you want it on the horse? No, put on the horse. So we put them at 100 quid each way, at 40 to 1. And then it still keeps raining. Now this rain wasn't forecast. We were almost going to pull them out the day before because it was dry. And we're looking out the window again, it's still pissing down. All the way to Cheltenham, the roads are flooded, fucking things on. We get to the meeting, they're almost going to call it off because it's waterlogged in places. They go, all right, no, we're going to go for it. And then this happened. So
now, how many of you are there?
We had about, this day, 40 odd.
Who are they? Your family? Your
mates,
people who own it? Mates?
Yeah, a lot of family, a lot of Irish lads we know from Ireland. They all come over for all his runs.
That must be brilliant, that.
But like, Having said that, we came last to Carlisle once. He ran shit and got pulled up. We had the best trip on the train. They had to reload the train at Carlisle with ale because we were coming back. We used to love doing that. You know, so we've had great days no matter what. But
Yeah.
I'd say to you from this point here,
It's great your reaction
you'll
here,
see,
John.
You know, it's terrible. I look at, but this is.
I think this is what I do. I look at you
this
and I
is
go.
an example of I'm not thinking about the money.
Yeah, but I watched this morning. It's brilliant. I would be you in that moment. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
They'll say, you know, how Splashy Ginge, is he okay? And now they go, no, he's absolutely woeful. He's school terrible, but we're going to run anyway.
So let's
Say what, mate? Another.
Oh, he was knackered like, but
that race actually. Given
Yeah, there he is.
I knew you'd show this dancing thing. I think I'm quite good there. To wheel it out. Here's little Willie's 13 now.
What is that, John?
That is called flying down the left wing for Liverpool. I think I look very reserved.
Quantify what that means.
Brilliant.
But listen, anyone who's had a bet
That's brilliant, that.
has come up.
So
good stuff, that.
That's
what did it win at? What price?
he came 33-1. He came back at, but he had been 50-1 in the morning, and we just kept backing him, and then all the lads, and then we went back to Hollow again that night. And he put a marquee up for the meeting, but he had like a load of people in eating there, so we paid for all them to go and eat somewhere else. And then we took over that marquee for, I think, 2 or 3 days, and all the lads.
What do you mean? You just said to the people like
no, well, they put a marquee at the back. Yeah, well, when he won the Betfair Hurdle, which was a couple of years before, as we're driving back from Newbury, the owner of the pub, Huey, he had a load of guests because that like rooms above it. So I paid for them to go and stay in a 5-star hotel in Cheltenham.
Did you?
And we took over the rooms, yeah, and then we just took over everywhere. But the parties, listen, I always used to say to people like, and then all that, like, and I think maybe it's that imposter syndrome that we say, I'm not waiting for the next time he wins, because it might not fucking happen.
you want to make sure you enjoy this one.
You got to go for it, haven't you? Like,
Yeah.
and that's what we are. That's what I can't be. I've seen people win, like the Grand National, and go, oh yes. How do you feel? Absolutely ecstatic. You know, I'd be fucking rolling about the floor, fucking punching people, dude. And you know, you've got to. I shouldn't swear as much as I do. Actually, you know, you've got. I think I didn't ever think I'd get this far. I didn't think I'd do a lot of things, but I think if you don't enjoy it, what's the point? Like people had to go. When Liverpool won the league, and no, not the league. When they won the Champions League,
Madrid.
Yeah, and Klopp's doing the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yeah.
And everyone's having a go on him because he's off the bus. No, like health and safety, having his legs over with a beard. And I'm thinking, do us a favour.
Yeah.
He's probably been on the edge of a nervous breakdown for 9 weeks, right?
Yeah.
You know, he's living on his nerves. He's putting every ounce of everything into it. I think he's allowed to get a little bit pissed and a little bit delirious, you know what I mean? He hasn't got to be on media watch, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
And that's what
I've been like that, mate, yourself, and it's so funny when I think probably told this story before, but I got to be friends with the people who own the Crabbies, and they sponsored the Grand National. So Peter Eaton, probably come up.
Yeah, Peter, yeah.
Really, really top fella, and he always used to look
really
after me.
nice fella.
So I always was going the Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I've done for about 3 or 4 years. Well, I've done for about 10 or 15 years, but I was going the Thursday, Friday, Saturday and getting to go in the box one of the days. It was great. And when I was in this box, and it was like fucking 7-course meal.
Yeah.
As soon as you walked in, it was just people waiting on your hand and foot. I said Alex Ferguson was in there. It was, you know, mad. And I thought, I've always had this feeling, again, what we said before, like me nan, it'll be all right. And I've always just known I'll be all right. Like, money-wise, health-wise, I just knew it'd all work out in the end. And I still do. I've still got this really confident feeling of, like, I'll be fine, I'll smash it. But anyway, at that time, I was like, I'd love to bring me mates to something like this, because just loads of scallywags from Bootle fucking never get to do anything like this. And then a few years later, I got to go to Haydock. I hate entering and winning the Grand National, but for me, like, I had a box out in Haydock in Boxing Night when I got the tip off you. And which was funny. I think the box cost me about $3,500. I just said to all the lads, look, day's on me. And we went there. It was fucking free ale all day. It was great. And I text John. And,
it's not free, you know you paid $3,500.
Well, I know, yeah. I forgot that
after... you give us $3,500.
I forgot that after the second pint, like, fucking hell. But it was just great, though, like you said before. I didn't think about the money because I was thinking, just looking at all my mates, and like you saying there, it was just like seeing everyone have a boss time. And then, funny enough, Splashy Ginge was running that day.
No, I think it was the Hollow Ginge, I think it was.
Yeah, but Splash Ginge was running as well.
Oh, he was, yeah. That's right.
Yeah, and I had a bet on that.
He didn't run very well, did he?
I know, he come out 6th or 7th.
Yeah, that was it.
It was an outsider, though. And then anyway, I just texted him and said, oh, mate, hard lines with that. and he says, "I've got a good feeling on the
one in the last.
the one in the last hollow, Ginge." So I think I might put £1,000 on it.
I've got the photo here.
Was it £1,000 or something?
Yeah, you're lunatic.
At 9-2, so 5.5 grand pick back up, which
Fucking
would
hell.
pay for the day anyway. And I just went into that day, the mindset, it'll be alright, don't worry.
He ran a really good race. He's hopefully going for the Grand National this year, hopefully.
Hollow
See how we
Ginge.
get on, but obviously it's not going to be behind. But you know, that, you love to hear stories. I like what you're saying here. I've got to do all this with me mates. And
Yeah.
all the people I've met along the way. And honestly, I've met some absolutely brilliant people in racing. I know I went on about the thing before snobbery, but that's the minority.
Yeah.
I've met some truly, I've got friends for life, you know what I mean? I've met some amazing people, and like the love it's brought into my life. I know it sounds crazy, but the love that horses brought in.
Oh, they're amazing.
Great, you know what I
yeah.
mean? And like the people I've met and the ones who come a massive part of my life, and they'll always be part of my life. And it's all because of horses and racing. And it's, you know.
So it's always been a passion. It's never been like, right, let's do this full time and let's own a big stable and let's, you know.
I mean, I do a few little businesses inside racing, but that's more advising people from a business thing. A few of the lads who've retired as jockeys and stuff, they've gone and set up business themselves. So I sort of do almost like a business sort of mentor to them. But it's not. No, it's not a business anyway. I just love it. It's my release. It's my vicarious living my life through a fucking four-legged animal. You know what I mean? And I don't mean to be passing on to people. There's an awful lot. You can choose what you want to do with your money. I choose that my leisure money is on that. You know, I've got to that stage of life where I've been lucky enough that I've got a little bit of leisure money, and I just love horse racing, and I love the feeling it gives me.
Have you missed it without crowds and all that?
I have. It's not. I went to the first meeting in October without the crowds, and I hated every minute of it. So I decided I'm not.
The one at Aintree? I went to the one in December, I think it was.
Yes,
sorry.
you did.
I went to it and I left after 20 minutes.
I'm sorry. Anyway,
Hated it.
that's what happened to and I just thought, and I had a horse running. No, it wasn't. My lad was riding, sorry. As soon as my lad had ridden, I went home, and I went, I'm not going racing now until the crowd back home, my mates can come, because there was 2 of us allowed to go in. You'd have to sit on a table about 30 feet away from everybody else. That's no one's fault, by the way. They've got to try and get the meeting. I understand.
They've got,
that's
of course.
That's not their fault. They're trying to just keep the sport alive. But it's not enjoyable.
No.
That's not why you do it. That's not why you own a racehorse. You own a racehorse. But for me, I'm never going to be one of those people who go, thank you very much, that was absolutely amazing, one of the best days of my life.
I would really want to clip that.
I want my mates, and then I want my family, I want my sons, I want my steps, I want the people I've met along the way, I want the people who matter to me next to me, I want to be able to hug them when it wins, I want to be able to commiserate when it loses. And I have to say, like, and I think this comes from what happened to me in life, in loads of ways. I'm a really good loser, but I'm a fucking great winner. You know what I mean? So I'm all right with losing me, because, you know, if you don't want to get wet, don't go fucking swimming.
Yeah, of course. It does look, when again, I'm not massive into racing, but whenever I watch the National, and I always see Ryanair boss, whatever, thingy Bob O'Leary, and he's got all his friends and family there, and there's all those other people, all the friends and family there together. It looks...
Well, here's what's funny about him. He's a bit of a... Anyway, I always tell a story. It's on the news on the night when he wins the Grand National, because his horse won its second Grand National. Right? He wins his second Grand National, Tiger Roll. So there's live footage, not live, but video footage of Michael O'Leary on the Ryanair flight from Liverpool back to Dublin. And he goes, right, everyone, has Tigers won the Grand National for the second time here? Everyone can have 2 free drinks each on the flight back.
Fucking minge bag.
If I said that after my horse won that race to my mates, they would fucking disown me. They wouldn't be clapping. You know, they'd be like, you made us 2 free drinks.
And they're about that big, aren't they?
And they'd be like, and there's no ice or fuck all, there's no lemon. Like, honestly, my mates, I'd be a pariah. I'd be marched out of Liverpool. I'd never be allowed back. 2 free drinks? Yeah, no, fucking not coming here with you again.
Yeah, it's a great saying that, though. You know, you're a fucking great winner, like, because you've got to know how to party, and like you say, you've got to know how to enjoy the fucking things.
Look, I've got that reputation in racing. That's why I do these things, and I do love the sport. I'll publicise the sport wherever I can, alongside, you know, like we do, like the stamp out suicide stuff and that, which we'll touch on. But you've got to, it's like the pure joy of sport. As I say, I know that everyone says this about footballers all the time. It's dead unfair. You know, when a lad scores and I'm thinking, he's thinking of his 10 grand bonus. He's not.
No.
I refuse. I know there'll be some people, the exceptions to every rule.
No, I agree with what you're saying.
You're taking your top off and you're lashing it and you're throwing yourself. You're not thinking I've just got 10 grand or I've just hit me 30 goals for the season or whoever you are. If you're elite at any sport, and I'm not an elite sportsman, but I'm involved at sport at an elite level.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm involved in national racing at the highest level. If you're involved at that level, it is the winning.
Yeah.
And everyone said, I am a good loser, I take defeat. A lot of owners don't. They're very bad, they move their horses. I haven't got horses in training with anyone else except Nigel. I never will have. He's too straight, he's too honest, and I think he's an absolutely brilliant trainer. But he's the same as me. What you want to have is people around you who hate and whatever as much as you do when you lose, but also know how to fucking go for it when you win. And he's the same.
How many horses have you got with him?
Good question. I've sort of got horses across the business. I have a few with his with his son Willie as well. I've probably got 8 or 9 maybe.
8 or 9. And you think then Hollow Ginge for the...
If he gets in, it's touch and go if he gets in. If he doesn't get in there, he should win the Scottish Grand National, which is a week later. But we'll see. But he's a really good young horse, and he's going to win. He will. I'd be hopeful he would go close in the national if it's not this year, next year. And he's only young. He's only 8, so. And I like jump racing. That's only young.
How do they get in the national? So is there like a? Again, I know nothing.
It's
mate,
basically a handicap rating
to get in the national.
Yeah,
right.
And out of everyone who enters, the highest 40 of those ratings will get in. He'll be right on the cusp, but it's a bit of a double-edged sword because we've got to be a low enough rating that he gets enough weight off the really good horses because we want to obviously win.
Yeah.
We're not, like, I've never been a social runner. I'm not one of these people who just turns up to be, I'm just glad to be here. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm never.
And then like the national. So again, I know nothing. Like again, pretty much the only bet I'll put on racing unless I'm going is the national, and then I know fuck all anyway. Like with the national, from your standpoint, is it a complete luck of the draw? It is.
No, it's not anymore. It's not like it used to be.
Right.
It's a lot. What they call the handicap is a lot narrower now. So the horses are a very, like years ago, you would have a horse of 10 stone carrying 10 stone, his jockey, and one carrying 12 stone, and the difference between those horses would be huge. Now we have a very narrow, what they call a narrow handicap. So they're all really of a similar ability. And obviously the fences, because of the animal rights issues, and we've got to think of animal welfare, the fences are not as difficult as they used to be. So,
right.
You still need luck, because there's 40 horses running around the field who don't know that you want them to go in straight lines, you know what I mean? they want to go where they want. So there's a lot of luck involved still, but it's not as much as a lottery. Funny enough, the first horse ever to win the Grand National was called Lottery. I love that.
Was it, yeah?
Yeah, the first horse. I think that's a brilliant. Just sums it up. But it's not as difficult a race for those reasons, but you still need huge amount of luck. But yeah. I've always said, like, they'll carry me out in a box before I stop trying to win the Grand National. I'll fucking keep going.
And if you celebrated for how many days, 5 days, whatever, how many days do you reckon you'll celebrate?
I actually planned the trip with the lads. I think we'd have like a week in Liverpool, obviously, and then with everyone else, and then I'll take like the one, then we'll go to Barbados or something for a week. You know what I mean? And we'll just see where it gets us, you know what I mean?
See where it gets us.
And the New York Times Square.
Yeah, I won't be in the fucking YMCA though.
Oh, brilliant.
Mate, on that then, mate, just to finish off, mate, we kept you fucking ages, but
no, it's
yeah, I see you tweeting stuff, mate, and it's in your bio about suicide prevention and stuff, especially during lockdown. You've put a few things up. I've thought, yeah, he's bang on the money with that. What he's saying, it's what's kind of brought that around to...
As I said, I touched on it earlier. I made a list one night of people that I've known who've unfortunately took their own lives, and I could name all the names, but I got to 25, and I thought, I don't want to write these names anymore.
25 people you knew?
And unfortunately, because it was in music, it was all on music's rife with it. And then I've come into racing, and racing's got a terrible record for it as well.
Really?
Unfortunately, yeah. I don't know whether you know, but like recently, the chairman of Eventually Racecourse, Rose Passes, and unfortunately took her own life during lockdown. And we've had another 2 jockeys this year. One who actually won the Grand National, Liam Treadwell.
I remember that, yeah.
He unfortunately took his own life. A real good friend of ours and all the lads down where our trainer James Banks unfortunately killed himself this year. So it's always there, and I almost feel like like it's trying to, I'm trying to empty a dam with a sieve, but you've got to keep trying. And then we've been involved for quite a few years now with a charity called Stamp Out Suicide, which is based in Warrington, and they offer like a one-to-one service with people. So you know, it's all free. You get one counsellor assigned to you. And I wouldn't say it's a passion's the wrong word, is it? Because I don't know. I'm just
passionate about getting the word out.
Yeah. I'm just fiercely behind trying to stop it, and I don't think we can. But like I always say on a lot of my tweets, and I get a lot of people contact me, which is great, and if I can steer them towards it, I'll do it. But I think now we've saved a few people, and if that's all it ever achieves, if it's 3 or 4 people that we've saved, then it's worth it. If it was 1, it will be worth
100%,
it. But I'm fiercely passionate about it. I really want to get the message out there, and you know, without going on about this, I don't want to use it as a thing for you, like. But if anyone needs anything, like, they can DM me. I'll put them in touch with Stamp Out Suicide. I'll get them in touch with Colin Farrell, who's the founder, an incredible man who does a lot of thankless work for this charity with all his volunteers, and they're just brilliant, you know. And unfortunately, not just the music and the sport at the minute, but I do think COVID is
massive.
I think the bill we're going to pay at the end of this, like they said, what was that film, The Untouchables? Never do the counting till the counting's done, right? But I fear for how many people we're going to find out will have taken their own lives during this. And then again, if I know you lads do a brilliant job, Andy, you do a great job, the motivation speaking as well. If we save 1 a month, which is an incredible thing to try and want to do, but if we can, then we will, and we've got the people there willing to help.
It's still crazy. I still can't get my head around it when they say it's the biggest killer of men.
Yeah, especially under 40.
It's like, how is that a thing?
I think it's 10,000 a year, isn't it?
It's insane, yeah.
It's mad to think.
More than any form of cancer. More than leukemia, more than anything you want to mention.
It's unfortunate as well. Suicide is especially, I've seen the statistics for in inverted brackets 3rd world countries, places like Africa, and unfortunately suicide is pretty much reserved for 1st world well-off nations, which is
first world problem.
Which is it's probably maybe I don't like to see, pressures that people are put under through
like we said earlier,
things.
I said about me, and I don't believe I am, but I have been in dark places in my time. I've never ever been remotely suicidal or whatever, but like all these lads I'm mentioning, all those ones I just thought of them when I'm talking to you, they're all funny lads. And unfortunately in my list of 25, there's 5 young girls, all under 30, who I grew up with, who a girl I met when I was first singing in bands, and they're not here. And they were all funny, bright. And look, not everyone's a saint. No one always go, oh, he lit up a room. Not every. How can every fucker light up a room? We wouldn't need bulbs. Everyone who dies, oh, he lit up the room. When he walked in,
he's only bulbs.
I don't know. Turn the lights up. Here's our John. You know what I mean? He'll light the room up. But all these people I've just mentioned here, and I'm not civilising anyway. They were all funny people.
Yeah.
Really bright. They would come in a room and you'd know you were in the room with them. They weren't perfect. No one is. But and they're gone. And it's eminently preventable.
Yeah.
It's not an incurable disease. It's
and I think the more you can speak
man-made.
about it like this, and like say, getting in touch if you are feeling low, then do it, because it's just a horrible statistic, isn't it? It's not even believable.
And the other one that I really think is brilliant about Stamp Out Suicide is if you know someone who's feeling bad, right? If you're worried about someone, get in touch with them, and they'll give you advice on how to best approach it with them and how to deal with it. You know what I mean?
Brilliant. Yeah.
And so it's not just that. It is like it is an all-encompassing support network. If you are worried about someone, look, and I the closest I've ever come, and I've only told a couple of people about this, but after my dad died in the June, I was sat on my own in the house. This is 18 months ago. And it was a few months after he died, and I just felt shit. I never felt like that. When you feel
I know what you mean.
Really asked about anything. So that's the closest I've come. Now you imagine that, and this is what I done the next day. I went, fucking hell, that to me was horrific. Imagine 100 times worse than that. When you've got
every
no
day,
one.
every day.
Every day you wake up like that. Except it's worse than what I'm saying, and there's nobody to talk to. Do you think you can't? Well, you can. Coleman, the people that Stamp Out Suicide, we'll blag the number up and all that. But
I was just going to ask, is there a website, mate?
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
StampOutsuicide.co.uk.
Right. Brilliant.
And the phone number's on there. If you ring them, obviously most people have unlimited minutes and all that, but if you don't want to do that, if you just want to send them a text message or whatever, or email them, and they'll get in, and if you give them your number, they'll get in touch with you. You get one-to-one counselling. That person will stay with you right through the process, and they'll talk you through it. You know, they're brilliant people, and you look, I don't like to, it's been brilliant, it's not really low. I don't want to finish it on a down, but it's not a down. Half the fucking reason this keeps happening is because we don't want to fucking bring it down. You know what I mean? Oh, fucking hell, what are you doing? Kill the mood, John. Well, if me killing the mood means it doesn't kill another person, then I'll fucking kill it all day.
Yeah. You haven't killed the mood, mate, don't worry, honestly.
I could talk to you all day, mate. We've no doubt have you on again.
I've really enjoyed this, honestly, mate. Yeah, it's been a pleasure. It really has.
Me too, lads.
What I will say, John, as well, just because you say you don't want to end it on that, I think, mate, like you say, one of the reasons why I wanted Tom to meet you and get on the podcast is because I've known you anyway. You're really such a genuine top guy, and I thank you for that. And I just think the way you've kind of went about your life as well, you know, fucking having a go and that kind of, what's the worst that can happen type thing, and, you know, putting in 100%, putting in the graft when you need to, but most importantly, fucking enjoying it as well, because you fucking only get one shot at it. You know what I mean?
And I think seeing a lot of these things that have happened, not only to me but people around me, that's what it drives you on to even more and more. And if I wouldn't say I'm not like romantically living it for them, but you know, an awful lot of it, you can't do it now.
Yeah.
You've got to enjoy it.
Even if that's just enjoying your kids or enjoying your steak or enjoying your glass of wine, fucking enjoy it.
Yeah.
Oh, mate, it's been great. Fucking before you win the national, mate, when you do win the national, I'll be like, I fucking had him on my podcast.
I'll be on fucking Joe Rogan then. I'll be fucking talking to you. My fee will go right through the roof.
John, you're a star, mate. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, lad. Enjoyed every minute. Thank you.